How are you today? Thank you so much for tuning in. I am about to go through the Alberta Independence talk in Edmonton because there's a lot of separation talk here in Alberta, and it's a little bit mind-blowing to me. So, for those of you who may not know, my name is Ashley, and I am a proud and privileged queer teacher. I have been all around the world studying curriculum and assessment, and I was gone for about 10 plus years, and now I'm back and I've been dropped in Alberta. And it is the weirdest Canadian province I have ever lived in. I've lived in Ontario, I've lived in BC, and now I live here. And yeah, it's like nothing I've ever seen, especially right now. It's separatist time. So I'm just going to go through the video and critically think and see what these people are saying and if there's any merit or value. And if you're interested, feel free to just follow along with me. All right, so let's jump into it. Let me share my screen here. I found the the full live recording. So for the first 25 minutes, it's a bunch of nothing. I guess people are just coming in. Let's go ahead and start watching. And what I'll do is I'll stop in between and I'll question and I'll look and, we'll just see. We'll just see what they say because I don't know about you, but I'm certainly curious.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. Welcome to a presentation and discussion to help with your knowledge, with your understanding, and ultimately your decision as we head into the most important vote in Alberta's history. I'll start with a little bit.
The most important vote? Really? You don't think there was something more important like way back when it became Canada or like way back when those treaties were written and stuff? Anyways, let's just keep going.
And of course, if you have not yet signed your intent to vote yes for a referendum on independence, just find people with one of these sitting at the table in the back. They're more than happy to help. Our evenings feature...
Oh, no land acknowledgement? Well, that says a lot already, right? They obviously don't even believe Canadian values that are us trying to do truth and reconciliation. All right, let's keep going anyways.
Well, it was supposed to be two engaging speakers tonight, but we just had a cancellation from Jeff Rath, unfortunately. He came down ill, he made it as far as Nisku and had to turn around and go home.
Jeff Rath. Isn't that the guy that screwed over all the Indigenous people and stuff? Doesn't he have a bunch of lawsuits against him? I'll have to look it up more.
So Mitch is going to carry the day for us. Our aim, however, is to have a respectful, informative session. Any disruptions, we'll get that person out of here real fast.
Oh, interesting. So any disruptions meaning what? Like a question? Somebody who disagrees? I mean, what kind of disruption are they expecting? They're all adults, right? Weird. What a weird way to start a meeting. Like you're anticipating disruptions. Projection much?
And at the end of the presentation, there are always questions. The question and answer will happen after our speaker has finished. If you have a question, there's two ways to participate. If you go over to the donations table, little white cards, you can write it down. I'll read out your question. We'll get an answer for you. If not, we'll ask people to stand up at this microphone. We'll line you up and we'll ask some questions and we'll get some answers and have a great discussion after Mitch is done.
That's really cool. They're making it really clear that we're going to go through the whole speech, hold on to your questions, and then we'll address everything after. I like that they have it in a written form. They have it in a spoken form. You can stay anonymous. You can voice your opinion. So that's nice. That's a good way to make sure everybody can be involved and you're not ostracizing anybody.
With the housekeeping out of the way, I'll introduce myself. I'm David Goff. I'm your MC, and I am absolutely honored to stand before you as a supporter of the project, but also someone passionate about the Stay Free Alberta mission to achieve a referendum for Alberta's independence and prosperity. By this time, you have probably heard of different groups and individuals dedicated to the education and promotion of Alberta independence. Stay Free Alberta is unique, however. A freestanding, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization with a single focused mission. Created last fall in response to the opportunity for a citizen-initiated petition to drive a constitutional referendum. The current SFA petition was officially issued by Elections Alberta on January 3rd, and we have until May 2nd to gather approximately 178,000 valid signatures. That's the mission, and here we are this evening. I mentioned Stay Free Alberta must be a citizen-initiated action, and we have that actual citizen here with us tonight. Mitch Sylvester is the owner and operator of Sylvester Sporting Goods, a well-established business in Bonnyville since 1989. Bit of an understatement, but he has become actively involved in political advocacy over the last few years, and Mitch is an advocate for the the people, known for his honesty.
I didn't know too much about Mitch Sylvester so far, but the fact that he's a business owner, just keep that in your mind, right? What is his motive, right? What is going to benefit him and his people and his perspective? Business is all about capitalism, right? And capitalism is about making money on other people. Let's keep going.
For his integrity, I believe you'll find his remarks straight from the heart and straight from his love for Alberta. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mitch Sylvester.
Well, that was a really sweet intro, right? So if you're not critically thinking, you're just going to think this guy is awesome. He's a hardworking man. And I'm sure he is, right? I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that's only one side of the story, right? Okay, so let's go into the Mitch Sylvester. I already watched him in the Calgary one, so I'm really interested in seeing what the Edmonton one is. I almost wish I could have went to this meeting myself, to be honest. I would have loved to ask my questions in person. Okay, let's go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Edmonton, I guess. For me, we had a busy week. Lots of you guys may have seen the video that we put out yesterday where the guy brought a bullet in my store and said, hey, this is for Mitch.
Somebody brought a bullet to his store and said, this is for Mitch? That's not nice. One, doesn't sound very Canadian. Two, I hope they find that person and then that person suffers the consequences that they should, because that is not okay. Really doesn't matter what side of the argument you fall on or where your politics are. Threatening the death of someone, not cool, right? The other side of me also thinks, was that just planted as a story to try to get more seppies on board, right? Because a little fear-mongering goes a long way. A little underdog story goes a long way, right? Planting narratives and seeds goes a long way, let's be real. However, I do not wish any death upon Mitch Sylvester. Nobody should. Nobody should be bringing bullets anywhere. None of that is necessary, right? That's not how we want to problem solve. Okay, let's keep going.
Actually caught him. He's being charged.
There you go.
So,
We can agree. That's it.
yeah, I had 50 at least calls yesterday from people in my area telling me I know who that guy is. So as a consequence to that, the police have a hold of him. He went to Lloydminster yesterday and said, hey.
Wonderful. So what does this story even have to do with anything about independence, right? Why are you sharing this story other than to stir a pot? Anyways, let's keep going.
With a misunderstanding. I said, I don't know how you can misunderstand that. He terrorized the girls behind the counter. The one was so scared she wanted to quit, and she was probably my best till girl I've had for years and years, but she actually decided to stay. So I'm very happy that she did. So as a consequence to that, he terrorized the girls. I was not in the store, and he tried to say that that was a plastic bullet that he used, and he brought it in the store today. He gave it to the RCMP, and they went and they brought it to one of my girls there, and she said, hey, I'm a hunter. I've been in this store for years. That's not a real bullet. I know the difference. That's not what he had in his hand. They went back to the video, and of course, she was correct. Do you agree that the province of Alberta should cease to be a part of Canada?
So I don't know why that story would have anything to do with Alberta ceasing to be a part of Canada. Let's keep going.
To become an independent state.
Independent state. Could you imagine poor little Alberta all on its own? Like Greenland or like Venezuela or Cuba. Just plucked up, I'm sure, by the good old US of A trying to save us, right? Like, come on, independent state? That's probably worse than being 51st state. Let's keep going, though.
So let's understand something about that question. That question is...
Yes, let's please, because with all the knowledge I already have, I don't even know how this would be humanly possible, right? There's already laws and court cases and all sorts of stuff, right? So like... Again, could it be that this weird Jeff Rath guy is lying to these people to tell them that any of this is even possible, even though it's not, right? Because I'm sure they're making tons of money doing this stuff, right? Anyways, let's keep going.
Directly out of the Clarity Act. We already had a question that was, they refused, basically. So we took that question right out of the Clarity Act. That does not mean become a 51st state.
Oh, I see. Okay, so we've already done this. Last time it didn't work because they misused the question. And now they're doing it again with a better question. Okay, let's go.
All right. Been to Washington. Actually, we had a press conference before. It wasn't a secret. We went and talked to them. And they made it very clear.
Washington, like the USA. Okay.
That it's very hard, even from their side, to make that happen because they have to get 70% of support in both houses. And they said the Democrats would never agree to that.
Gee. I wonder why.
And from their perspective, as Republicans, they said that the Democrats would want DC and Puerto Rico added as U.S. states, and they would never agree to it. So it would be just good.
See, Puerto Rico doesn't really want to be part of America too, even though they are. Did you know that? Probably not, because how many people really know their history? Let's keep going.
For everybody to understand, it's a very hard process. It's not something that any of our people want. Less than 10% of our people want it. And I think it's a moot point.
Our people. So you guys got a bunch of groups who want different things that have all come together now in just some way to separate us at least? Okay, let's keep going.
All right. So what about that guy from Edmonton across the floor? How the heck does that work? We're going to have our...
Ooh, this is a little different than the Calgary one. This wasn't in the Calgary one. Canada's about to have its very first unelected majority government ever. Let that sink in. So he's mad because a bunch of conservatives have changed their mind and crossed the floor because they realize that the conservatives have gone too far right. And now Mark Carney's kind of centrist, right? I wouldn't say he's a liberal. I wouldn't even say he's a right side. I would say he's kind of a Trump-a-rooney in Canadian clothing, isn't he? Anyways, let's keep going.
Our first unelected majority. They keep that up. I don't know. I actually am quite shocked that that's happening here in Alberta, but we live in interesting times. All right. We desire, and every Canadian desires, that the great trade of the prairies shall go to enrich our own people in the East, to build up factories and the workshops of Eastern Canada and contribute in every way to its prosperity. I got some bad news for you. That's never changed. We are and have always been a colony of the East. And I'm going to make it very clear to you before I'm done.
A colony of the East. You have provincial politicians. You have provincial laws. You don't even have PST. What are you talking about? I don't like how they take something about collaboration or like blending East and West or like being a family or working together or any of those ideas and turn it into it being a bad thing. Why would it be a bad thing for everybody to share a little bit? Like, honestly, you got to turn it into like as if they're robbing us blind. Let's keep going.
So this is how it started in 1904 when they annexed Alberta. There was never a vote. They annexed Alberta. Screw the West, we'll take the rest. We've always been in a business arrangement. Everyone, every province combined in a buying group should make every other province better off. As you cumulative, you can buy better. You should be able to help each other earn. However, that's not the way it works. How this works is this way. Screw the West, we'll take the rest. They don't need our votes. They don't need Alberta seats, and they behave like it.
How so? Is that even true? This is all a very personal feeling. Let's keep going. This is not facts, right? This is opinions, personal feelings. This is, again, we're waiting for facts here. So let's keep going.
If you were in a business arrangement with a group of...
Not saying that like politics aren't corrupt in its own way and this and that and the other, and we should all be aware, we should have all sides of the story so that we can vote accordingly and whatnot. I'm not saying that there has not been tons of lies in the past, obviously, and people continue to lie, obviously. But again, there's a way to present that information that doesn't just stir the pot, right? But that actually goes to a solution. And separation is obviously like the worst case solution, right? In my head, it's like throwing out the baby with the bathwater, which is why I'm trying to investigate it so much, because I just can't wrap my head around what the seppies see. Anyways, let's keep going.
People that actually even said that, never mind, we're doing it on a day-to-day basis. Would you stay in it? Is my question. And in 1980, Mark Lalonde, the Minister of Finance and author of the National Energy Program, said we could not let Alberta become the center of economic power in Canada.
But nobody is an economic power, right? The point is to have separated power so that we don't have some wacko dictator come in.
And I want to ask you, why not? If we're all on the same team, the capital could stay in Ottawa and we could produce oil and gas to the benefit of every single Canadian, not just Albertans. Why would they try and shut our oil patch down?
Because it's not just about oil. It's not just about Albertan. And it's not just about oil dollars. Like, do you think the whole world revolves around Alberta oil? Actually, you probably do, which is why you hate on the windmills and the solar and the this and the that. Yeah, that makes sense. God forbid we diversify A little bit, right? Interesting. Let's keep going.
I just don't get it. From a purely business perspective, I don't understand that kind of thinking.
From a purely business perspective, you don't understand that kind of thinking. Exactly. Because you're only thinking about business. While, like, the rest of us are in 2026 thinking about the next 7 generations and business and money and all of that stuff too, but with a bigger goal to survive in the long run and make this planet sustainable, not just destroy it and dry it up for every last drop. Hello, maybe that's the problem. Did you think about that? Business versus humanity? Okay, let's keep going.
Can you play that, Benita? All right, so what our premier's telling us here is that she's saying that we have a $27 billion surplus.
Funny how he's like paraphrasing for her. Play the video and let us hear exactly what she's saying.
After we pay everything here in Alberta. Actually, she didn't put excise taxes in that.
Let's remember, we all know that the game of telephone doesn't work well, right? One person says it to one person, to another person, to another person, and by the time it gets back, it's a new message, right? That's why we have to take things from the horse's mouth. Alberta legislature, House of Commons, we have to actually go listen to the politicians, say what they're saying, and then all sides, not just one side, and not just somebody else's paraphrase of that side. Okay, let's keep going.
And she didn't use the numbers from the pension plan in that. So it's actually a $47 billion surplus, but it sounds better coming from her than from me. And I've had multiple meetings with the premier, and I asked her in actually September, at the end of September.
So when I look at this infograph, I don't see a date. I don't see who wrote it. I don't see, okay, I see Globe and Mail. But I don't see much more than that. So let's keep going.
I noticed we didn't get any major projects from Ottawa.
Oh, no major projects. Okay, what year is this? Anyways, I don't know, but I know that there's a pipeline that just went through not long ago, right? When Trudeau was in. I mean, I was still in China when this was happening, but I heard about it in China. So how did you not hear about it in Alberta? Why are we leaving that out? Okay, let's keep listening. Maybe I'm asking too many questions.
Why? Everybody else seems to get them. Why did they not give some to Alberta? The most disgruntled province in the whole of Canada, and they made zero effort.
The most disgruntled? Yeah, just because you're a big ass whiner doesn't mean you get what you want. Hello, are you a 3-year-old pulling a tantrum? Like, hello? Sorry, I'm just really trying to figure out this infographic. It kind of looks like it's all the projects that aren't oil and that might actually just be better for the planet. It's all mines and stuff though, so no, that can't be right. Are they just mad that they're working with the indigenous people more than with the oil people? Anyways, lots of information missing on this infographic, right? For it to be really that worthy or valuable. Okay, let's keep going. But of course, keep in mind, yes, we see all of these other projects, sure. Why don't we see one in Alberta? Why don't we see it in the Northwest Territories? Why don't we see it in the Yukon? Why don't we see that oil pipeline that went through just a few years ago? Okay, let's keep going.
To give us anything at all, and why would they behave like that? I don't understand. Look at BC and look at Quebec and Ontario. Lots of major projects, but not.
But you know that BC people are working with the indigenous people, right? And not trying to just destroy the land and take every fucking last dollar for themselves. And they're also not trying to separate, and they're also not trying to stir a pot. They're trying to improve. They're trying to go towards truth and reconciliation. You won't even do land acknowledgements. Okay, let's keep going.
None for Alberta. Doesn't that seem a little bit out there to all of you? Like if you had a province that was the literal engine of the country.
The engine of the country. Bro, we don't run on oil only. Hello? Like, how can you disregard the rest of the country and everything the rest of the country does? We have electricity, we have farms, we have cars, we have fucking First Nations, all sorts of goodies. Like, come on. We got the lumber, we got the mines. Like, it's not just oil, buddy. It's not just oil. I mean, are these people blind? Are they like God's gift to Canada? I don't understand.
Had trillions of dollars in assets that would benefit the entire country. Why would you do it on purpose to antagonize them? Because that's what this did.
It sounds a little childish to think that people are going out of their way to piss you off. Like, you don't think that people have better things to do with their jobs and their lives and politics than try to piss off Mitch Sylvester and the Seppies? I mean, this is getting a little bit weird. This is getting a little teenager selfish brain. Let's keep going.
So how else do they antagonize Alberta? By blocking pipelines, tanker bans in the West only. Everybody in the room understands that 1 million barrels of oil.
Okay, so again, the way we're framing this, bills harming Alberta. What if we framed it that said bills protecting Canada and the lands and the next 7 generations and the water and the humans who live around there? Like, there's a lot of like Aaron Brockovich problems with the water and stuff, right? And there's a lot of issues with why these are being blocked. We're getting other things in return. You just don't want to grow with the province. You want to stick with what you want and you don't want to change. We know about the oil spills. We know why the West is blocking it. We have their logic. But you want to take that logic and you want to try to make it like it's a negative thing instead of being collaborative and trying to think, how can we make it safer? How can we ensure that we don't need to worry about the things we're worried about that's stopping these pipelines, right?
They come into Quebec down the St. Lawrence with the very same boats.
But it's a completely different situation, right? The currents are different. Like everything is different. Go learn about why it's less dangerous on the East Coast than on the West Coast. They've already talked about the currents. They've already talked about the strait. They've already talked about the way the islands are. Like everything has been explained. You just don't want to take that explanation. So it seems. Let's keep going.
But we can't have those boats going on the West Coast and block oil and gas investment. And just understand that by blocking that investment, that doesn't mean that that money doesn't get invested. It just doesn't get invested here. Like, right? They take that money somewhere else and invest it.
Yeah, to be prosperous for everybody in the country, right? But what are you whining about? You're whining that you don't get it all to yourself? Like, it's almost contradictory what you're saying here. You can't want to separate, but then want the best for all Canadians. That doesn't make sense.
And the carbon tax, which was ruled illegal in Alberta.
Ruled illegal in Alberta by who? By the provincial people? Okay, so the provincial people, what, vetoed the federal people? Like, it doesn't mean that they're right anyways. It just means they're not agreeing.
Because it increases cost of production. And what do?
Oh, yes, an increase in cost of production would mean a little less profit for the billionaires at the top, right? Okay, super problematic, of course.
Supreme Court opposed it.
The Supreme Court opposed it. Why? Why would they? Why don't you go look in the explanation? Why don't you go look at who the Supreme Court judges are? Let's make sure that they're not tainted in any way, right? Let's make sure that they're being objective. But to me, I would trust that the Supreme Court people have enough education to hear, understand, and explore both sides, all sides of the story, and then make the proper decision. That is their job, after all.
I understand. Nowhere else in the country and literally almost nowhere else in the world do they have carbon tax. None of the big oil producing nations have carbon tax.
You know that there's a lot of places in the world that don't have tax at all? It's just already put in the price. We just don't talk about it. So again, you're just framing this in a way to stir the pot. Let's keep going.
And we give Ottawa $47 billion every single year. That's 40,000.
Oh yeah, we're going to take the advice of Rise of Alberta as factual information. I don't think so. On what? X.com? I don't even know what the hell that is, X.com, but I'll tell you what it's not. It's not a reliable resource, and we sure as hell would not accept it anywhere in education or law or whatever. This is not a source. Okay, let's keep going.
$1,000 per Alberta household. That's a one-way traffic.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure we're all just giving $40,000 away to Alberta or to Ottawa. Let's keep going.
That's after everything comes back here.
Let's just be real. There are actual transparent paperwork documents online that you can go and find about all the federal and provincial money. There's a paper trail for everything. In Canada, quality assurance is kind of a thing. And that's why these people don't like the way our government is. Because we try to make sure there's no corruption. Even though there is, we try to avoid it. Let's keep going.
Only 3/4 of the Senate is appointed on Trudeau's advice. At the time, that was a Justin Trudeau thing. On the Liberals' advice.
Notice how they try to change that at the time. Like, Trudeau's gone, bro. Trudeau's been gone for a long time. Trudeau's over. We are now with Carney. And yeah, okay, listen, Carney, we got our issues with Carney too. That's a whole nother situation. One battle at a time, shall we?
They don't think like us.
They definitely don't think like you. We all think differently though, right? Not everybody thinks the same. We're not supposed to. That's kind of the joys of humanity.
Obviously. And Western Canada has a population of 11.7 million people and has 24 senators. Atlantic Canada has a population of 2.4 million people and has 30 senators. Alberta, with a population of 4.4 million people, has 6 senators.
I would have to go look into this a little further. It's been a long time. I haven't done like high school social studies, but I'm sure a high school kid could explain this to us.
And everybody says, oh, well, represented by population is not a deal, except when it...
Again, I can't take this infographic seriously because where does it come from? It's a meme off the internet? Like, no. This means nothing. So I'd have to go do some research, okay, about the population, the senators, why it is the way it is. There is a reason and a rationale, right? I mean, this seems off, which it is off, obviously. So we would go and figure out why. Is it enough to like cause separation? Let's keep going.
Here, then they say this is representation by population. So remember how skewed that chart is. So we look here.
It's so funny that he talks about how skewed the chart is, and then he puts another chart, which again, no information about where it's from, who wrote it, what year. When I watched this one in Calgary, I'm pretty sure it had like an old date on it. So again, this is old and outdated. I'm pretty sure Newfoundland is at 6 now. I'm pretty sure New Brunswick is at 11. Like, I'm not sure, but this isn't exactly accurate. Again, I would do further research into why the seats are the way they are and why this works and if it works by population and whatnot. Let's be real, there is a shit ton of people in Ontario and Quebec, right? Like, that is our little New Yorks over there. So it makes sense that there would be that many more people. But again, I'd have to go look a little further and really look at the details here of what he's complaining about. However, with this info chart, or infographic, I'm not convinced. Moving on.
And we have 14 and 14 is 28. That gives us 70 seats plus 34. That's 104. Let's put the 3 on top. That's 107 for the entire half of the country.
The way he breaks it up, half of the country, it's not half the country if half of that space is empty, right? Like, have you driven through the prairies? You go for days and barely see anything. Have you driven through Ontario? You go 10 minutes, you see a new city and another city and another city and another city. I mean, when I was a little girl, there used to be forest in the southern Ontario tail and stuff. Now it's all city. Like, what is Markham, then where Canada's Wonderland is and all of that, that used to be forest. I used to camp out there. So now it's all houses and all people. Like, do you understand the population over there? Anyways, let's keep going because, again, I don't know enough about the population stuff, but it would be something to look into before we just take for granted what this man is saying. Let's keep going.
Ontario has 121. Add 78 to that, that's 199. New Brunswick has 10, that's 209.
This math is so weird too. Like, why are you mathing it like this? What does it matter if there's 4 and 11 and 10 if it's by population? Anyways, let's keep going.
220, 224, 231. So we have, 104, 105, and they have 231 in the east.
Ew, they're just like them and us and separation. Like, why don't you just calculate it all together of how many we have? Or why don't you just look at it exactly as it is? We have 42 people in BC for this population. We have 34 for this population. We have 14 for this population. We have 14 for this population. We have 121 for this population. Then let's math the math and see if that's all fair and equal or like equal enough, you know? Let's keep going.
So how does that work? If representation by population doesn't work for the Senate, why should it work for the House? I just don't understand. Confederation is designed to work exactly the way it is working. Keep Alberta a colony. Supreme Court justices by region.
Yeah, like Alberta's the only one. Oh, we're all in it. We're all in the same fucking Canadian boat, yo, with like provinces and rules and regulations.
2 for all of Western Canada. 3 for Ontario. 3 for Quebec.
Okay, so again, this is like a population thing. Supreme Court justices is a little different than the last infographic. We're comparing apples and oranges to try to stir the pot. But when I look at this, again, if I think just off the top of my head with the very basic knowledge that I know about population in Canada and whatnot, I'm fully aware that Ontario and Quebec have the most people. So again, I would go and look at numbers. I would go do my own math because this math, yes, if I look at it like this it makes sense and oh my God, it's so unfair, blah, 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 blah. But if I really look at the real numbers, is it that unfair? Let me take a look at how it's broken down and what the logic was behind this. It is a little weird to me that the top territories like Northwest Territories and Yukon and Nunavut and stuff don't have a Supreme Court justice, but that might just be because they ain't got shit to do with us and they don't want anything to do with our white people shit, right? I don't know. Again, I don't know enough about that. It would be something I would look into further before I ever made a decision to go on and separate, though. That's for damn sure. Okay, let's keep going.
And one for the Maritimes. Equalization payments. Do you notice how much Alberta, Saskatchewan get?
Let's just remind people it's not a bad thing to not need equalization payments, right? That means like you're not poor. That means you're not suffering. That means you don't need welfare. That's a good thing. Why are we making that a bad thing? Hello? You know that like Quebec and Ontario have a ton of refugees, a ton of people that need help. Why can't we help them? It's not costing us more or less over here. So it's kind of ridiculous to frame it again in a way that's like, oh my God, we don't get equalization payments. What do you need equalization payments? You also don't collect PST. So like, you know, you don't need it. That's it. You just don't need it.
Look at Quebec. How does Quebec become a have-not province?
But also, sorry, I know I keep cutting in. This equalization thing. The feds just sent $200 to each individual in Alberta who needed it on disability and on AISH. What did the province of Alberta do? They took that $200 away from the provincial money that they were giving those people. Again, we're framing this bullshit in a way that serves the narrative of the separatists. But why are equalization payments a bad thing? Why are you jealous that you don't need to be on welfare? Why aren't you explaining that we don't pay PST? Why aren't you explaining that the feds gave money in other places? You know what I mean? Let's keep going.
It's very simple. They don't put Hydro-Quebec in their balance sheet. So the biggest industry doesn't go.
There is something weird about that. That's a law thing and that could keep being worked out, but let's keep going. They're just mad that hydroelectric in Quebec works differently than oil and gas in Alberta because hydro gives cheaper hydro to Quebecers and stuff. Like there's a weird little something. So again, I'd have to go look a little deeper and stuff, but the point is you don't take things for granted. You don't take things at face value. You go and look at all sides of the story. This is just one side of the SEPI story. Let's keep going.
Go in their balance sheet. However, our oil patch goes in the balance sheet. So they become a have-not province and we become a half province and we don't get anything and they get $13.3 billion a year.
I will agree with Sylvester on this with the taxes. I believe that the people who make the most money should have to give back more. I don't care what you want to label that. You don't need 5, 10, 15, 20 billion dollars in your pocket. No company, no business, no person, nobody needs anything more than what you need to sustain yourself. That's a personal thing. That's, you know, whatever. That's not obviously the status quo culture and stuff, but let's keep going.
And that's every year, year after year after year. How does that work?
So again, the way we frame this, and again, this is just a meme from some dude in MLA, but still, it's not factual, right? It's not the full story. It's just a piece of the story framed in a certain way. Let's keep going.
So I'm going to share something with you. We could take, let's go there. We'll do this first. Per taxpayer, transfer payments.
So 2023 to 2024, why are you using such outdated infographics? And to calculate it per taxpayer like this is, again, a way to frame it to just stir the pot, right? Because we're not making that. I didn't get $6,000. The kid next door didn't get $6,000, right? Like maybe somebody who's disabled and struggling got $6,000. Somebody who's on the street suffering, right? Or who can barely afford their rent or whatever. Okay? Let's not make it seem like Alberta's just dishing out cash to everybody and anybody but Albertans, okay? Let's keep going.
Manitoba gets $5,800 per tax.
Or anybody in the West, right? Like he's almost like trying to recruit more. Like everybody be mad. Come on, let's go. Very cult-like.
Per year. New Brunswick, $6,500 per taxpayer per year. Quebec, $2,800. Nova Scotia, $5,800. PEI, $6,100 per taxpayer. So they're buying votes with our money. That's $13,000 per.
I'm so sorry, but they are buying votes with our money. You can't put that like that. That's not what's happening, right? They are trying to save the people at the bottom, right? Because we are Canadian. We have a welfare system. We have an EI system. We have safety nets to try to keep people from suffering through their lives. I mean, on the other hand, it's also for control and this, that, and the other thing, but that's a whole nother argument and blah, 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 blah. But let's keep going. This guy, the way he frames things, I can see why there's so many seppies who are just on board. Because if all of this stuff were true, poof, I'd be mad too. Again, it's just not the full story, right? Let's keep going.
Household in New Brunswick if you have a partner. And the Constitution. Well, you see how that's all stacked up and how that's designed. You need the support of 7 out of 10 provinces and 50% of the population to open the Constitution. So how many of those provinces are going to want to open the Constitution based on the deal they get?
Why would we? Why do we not like the Constitution? Just because you can't do whatever you want for oil and gas? I don't understand. What is the problem with our Constitution?
Not going to happen. And you need the support in the House of Commons and the Senate. So the Senate is basically liberal. Are we going to get that?
The Senate is basically liberal. Why? Why? Why don't people want to change the Constitution? Why? Just think a little further.
And I want to ask you a question. How the hell does Quebec get a veto? How does that work? They didn't even sign the Constitution.
I'm not exactly sure what they mean by this Quebec veto thing. I'd have to go and refresh my memory because, again, it's been a long time since I did my Canadian social studies. But Quebec is a distinct society in the law. You should have learned that when you learned Canadian history. So it is a little weird. It is a little different, but that's not your battle. You're an Albertan, right? So if you want to do something about the way that Quebec was framed way back when, that's a whole different political ballgame. Let's keep going.
How can they get a veto? And then we need approval by the PMO appointed Supreme Court. So
are you mad that there are control and quality assurance things in place? I'm not really sure what this guy's mad about with the Constitution exactly. Why is this bad? Why is it bad that you can't just randomly make any damn decision you want in Alberta? Anyways, let's keep going.
The Premier said in our questions, our 9 questions that we're going to do on October 19th, that we're going to open the Constitution. It's impossible. Hasn't happened in 120 years. It will never happen. It's a distraction. And I'm not going to rag on Danielle. Just so you know, we've got an ability to collect our signatures and we've got an ability to have a vote. That's all we could have ever asked for. All the rest is distraction. All right, Canada Pension, let's see how that works. Look who overpays. Is anybody close? Alberta overpays in every single program.
You realize the Canada Pension Plan is the government taking our money and putting it in stocks, making a bunch of money and then kind of giving it back to us? Yeah, you're probably better off just investing yourself. But let's look at this, 1981 to 2022. So again, why aren't we more updated? I don't really know what this chart is supposed to be telling us. Let's keep going. Who pays and who receives? Oh, because of the oil money? So what? So what? You think that's just going to go all to Alberta's pockets if you separate? So literally you just want to take everything and run. That's what you want.
Yeah, we overpay by $1.5 to $2 billion a year. Canada Pension, we've overpaid by $53 billion.
Overpaid. Overpaid according to who? Like, what do you mean?
Everybody else except for BC is a net taker. Alberta is by far the biggest contributor. Why is that? Because we work more.
Because you work more or because oil just makes more money around the world?
Our kids work 40, 50, 60 hours a week.
Everybody works 40, 50, 60 hours a week. It doesn't matter what province you're in.
People that work in car plants in Ontario work 36 hours a week. But guess what? At the end, everybody gets the same pension.
That doesn't sound right or accurate at all. Your CPP depends on what you work and how much you pay in and all of that jazz, but it's all federal. So it doesn't matter. This isn't making any sense to me. Like, I feel like he's confusing me with false information and just making me have to do so much more research, which I mean, it's probably banking on, right? Because our seppies and farmers and truckers and oil riggers, like, are they going to find time to go do research? No, they work 12, 14, 16-hour days. Let's keep going.
So Mr. Kinney, before he was fired, he commissioned the LifeWorks report. Bill Morneau, Finance Minister of Canada, helped build that report. And what does that report say? That report says, and I want you to understand something before I go there. We contribute $9 billion a year. Our workers pay CPP $9 billion a year. Our seniors collect $6 billion, right? So it's a $3 billion overage. Ontario, in the CPP Act, back in the 60s, said, you know what? We don't want to pay more than our share. So if that's the case, we want that overage put into a fund just for us, plus interest accrued, that we can call on that fund at any time we choose. But they never had any idea that Alberta would be the biggest over-contributor. So how much money, according to the LifeWorks report, does Canada Pension owe Alberta seniors? $336 billion.
Again, I don't understand where he's mathing this math. Do we all just need to fight the federal government to give us better CPP? Yes. Should people who work their entire lives get more than a measly, like, $1,000 or whatever? Yes. Like, my dad's been working his whole life, and I don't know what he has for CPP right now, but it's not enough to survive off of, and it should be, right? So, where can the money come from to ensure that these people can survive? It has to be from the big money makers. It has to be the grocery stores, the oils, the mines, everything like that, right? But obviously, you have people like this who don't even want to share and want to math in a way where they're victims, even though Buddy's in a nice suit, seems to be just fine, probably has a house and a vehicle, travels all over Alberta. So, like, Buddy's not hurting for money. Let's keep going.
And that was 2 years ago. CPP says they're getting 9.5% interest, but they're so 9.5% times 2.
9.5 is low as fuck, by the way. If you know anything about stocks, we should be making a lot more than that. So again, maybe instead of separating, we should all put our efforts together to get a little bit more truth and transparency in our politics. Did you think about that?
It's another $60 billion, so they actually owe us $400 billion. Why has the Premier not called that back?
I mean, listen, I love this math too. We're owed $400 billion. If only it were true.
I don't understand. I literally don't understand. It would
Me either.
be by far the biggest asset we have in Alberta.
This is why you don't understand, because your math doesn't make sense.
When I became Premier, I thought I could fix everything in 6 or 7 months. But everything's broken. I've hosted the Premier on 3 Premier dinners in the last.
She is quite ignorant to think that she would change everything that quickly. Nothing moves that quickly. Hello, where have you been living?
26 months. $250 a plate, 800 plates, sell out every time. I was the fundraiser of the year for the UCP this year. I raised more money for her than anybody. 2 years ago, I was also the CA chair of the year for the province.
Interesting, where all the money comes from. No wonder Smith's a SEPI.
So I'm committed.
Tell me there's not something wrong with Alberta politics.
UCP. All right, I help her out. So as a consequence to that, she comes and does dinners, and that pays for all of our activity for our CA every year. And we use that money to do whatever we need to do.
Yeah, like, spread propaganda and garbage bullshit.
However, let's not ignore the last 10 years of Liberal government.
What does Liberal government have anything to do with provincial government? Or federal government have to do with provincial government? Why are you jumping between the two and comparing the two? It's not the same.
Alberta is probably far and away the richest piece of real estate in the world.
In the world? What about Saudi Arabia? What about Iran? What about all those other places with all the oil? You don't want us to get bombed next, do ya?
Trillions of dollars worth of oil, big in agriculture, huge in forestry, clean water, lots of mining. We have lots of...
Yeah, and you're going through it like as if it's fucking endless. I mean, you realize your only goal right now is to use the entire resource. Let's keep going.
Coal. And we'd be very naive to think that people don't want what we have.
You are very naive to think that this that we have should just be sold and milked and destroyed for your truck, house, whatever the fuck you're trying to keep up with the Joneses with.
I've been saying for 3.5 years, I've never been political. I got involved with this, and in 3 months after organizing a bunch of rallies and getting a whole bunch of people to attend them, I saw that we were speaking to ourselves. Yes, it was feel good. Yes, it felt like you belonged to a tribe and everybody was really happy to be in the same room together, because in those days, they were trying their best to divide us. So all the COVID people on one side of the flag or the other, all of a sudden get to go together and see that they have a lot in common and are not by themselves out there. But the whole...
What is this got to do with each other? The only person dividing anybody is you and your seppies as you go around in this province trying to stir the pot, making issues where there are no issues other than ignorance.
The whole thing is that at that point, I realized that we have to talk to government. So that's why I got involved with the UCP. If we do not talk to...
That's why I got involved in government. Yeah, so I could make the system work for only me and my oil people and my Seppi Trumperoni believers.
Government, we cannot make change. But what we have happening here is that we'd be very naive to believe that the Europeans don't want what we have, because I'm sure they do, because they don't have what we have.
Which is what exactly? What do they need from us that they don't have? They don't need us. We work together because we want to work together. We work together because it's their colonizers who came over here. We work together because the rich of the rich stay together. Like, let's be real here.
What about the Chinese?
What about the Chinese?
Chinese want what we have.
They don't need shit about what we have. They think capitalism is the way to go. They have a one-sided story about Canadians and Americans too.
There's no doubt about it. Historically, people.
There's no doubt about it. China doesn't need shit from you. That's why Trump-a-Rooney hates China so much, because they don't need shit from anybody else. They collaborate with other countries and other leaders and whatnot, but they don't need anything from anybody. And they don't go around bombing people for anything either. They go around making nice relationships with people. They go around holding their word when they make agreements. Don't get me wrong, they got their own issues in their own country with their own people and how they control them and their politics and whatnot. Again, that ain't my issue. We're in Canada. We can deal with China at some other point. It doesn't, that's like going to the next door neighbor and telling them how to raise their kids. We can have conversations, but it's not our place. This guy over here trying to say that China needs anything from us? Shh. We need everything from China. Let's be real.
People have gone to war for what their neighbors have.
Yes, who does that? Who does that? Who goes to war to get what their neighbors have? Trump? Trump-a-roonies? Nobody else? Putin? Putin's bombing the Ukraine, right? Nobody else. Nobody's out there taking anything from anybody, except for a couple wackos. Let's keep going.
Mr. Polyev explained something. He said socialism is a problem. He said Nazi socialism, Soviet socialism, and narco-socialism are all forms of socialism that move at different speeds, but always to the same destination.
Pretty sure that's capitalism that he's talking about here, because the wealth of a few is capitalism. And we're all working for the few to make $1 and survive. And then we got unions, and we got this, and we got that, and I have to fight to make sure that we get our human rights from the people at the top. Like Pierre Polyev, out of all people to boot, like, buddy, you can't even get a security clearance. You think I'm gonna believe you? You're Trump-a-rooney number 2 over here.
Impoverished health for the many and special powers and wealth for the few. So why would Mr. Polyev be concerned with socialism? And what does socialism do?
Why do we even need to label what it is, other than like we're trying to look out for the next 7 generations and the fucking humans and the planet and the waters and the land? Like, there's so much more than just we're this kind of political party. No. It's humans who believe in certain things, like not destroying the fucking planet for $1.
What socialism does is it takes away competition. That's
Oh, God forbid we don't compete and dog each other.
why big business is interested in socialism. Because if they have no competition, they get to set prices and do whatever they want. And we'll get more to that later. So Mr. Polyev addresses the socialism issue, so I don't have to.
Wow. What a good way to butcher socialism and make it sound like capitalism. I mean, is this what they teach you in the fucking army when they're lying to you about capitalism and socialism? Because what the fuck are you talking about, brother?
Okay, when plunder, can somebody go to my computer over there and just use the mouse and hit present to the top right corner? There it is, thank you. When plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in society.
I just love how they're reusing the exact same arguments we use against them. Flipped, but doesn't make sense. It's so funny. Anybody who believes this is honestly just way left behind, unfortunately, and is way behind in information and facts.
Over the course of time, they create for themselves a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it.
I mean, this is what he did, right? This is why he joined the UCP, right? Like, that's what he just said a few minutes ago.
So does anybody in the room, hands up, believe the Liberals are stealing from us?
But the UCP are stealing more of the cons. I would put money on it.
Okay, so that's a lot of people. All right, so you know the problem, right? Everybody understands the problem.
Here's the thing. We know the problem, but we don't add to it. You, sir, are redoing the problem for your own benefit. That's what you're doing. Like, hello, you're not fixing anything. You're making it worse.
Not out of $187 billion worth of Liberal infrastructure spending finds 20,000 missing projects. That means...
Yeah, is this a Liberal problem or just politicians in general? Because I highly doubt anybody from the UCP wouldn't do something similar. Sorry, but not sorry.
they were paid for, but not built. 20,000 of them.
Again, I would like to go further into this because, yeah, if this is true, that is a problem. And we do need to hold people accountable. I don't care if you're a liberal, if you're a con, if you're a Green Party, it doesn't matter who you are. What matters is that you're truthful and transparent and you're not manipulating and being a liar We need political leaders, not political liars. It's 2026 now. We all have access to all sides of the story if we want to go get it. So there's no reason for this to still be happening where politics are like the 1950s and we're just sneeches running around back and forth being told a bunch of lies.
And the report from the Auditor General of Canada says that in 54% of contracts, they found evidence to show that the services were delivered. However, in 46% of contracts, they found that their organizations had little to no evidence to support that deliverables were received.
Okay, so let's go after that politician, take away his job, and replace him with someone with some integrity and some ethics. The problem is not the whole party. The problem is the person and the lack of quality assurance. So let's put more quality assurance. Let's make sure we're all on the same page and doing what we're supposed to be doing. Easy peasy. Not let's have a tantrum and separate.
This is from the Auditor General of Canada in 2025. So they're acknowledging.
You think if you separate, you're not going to have these same issues when you have your own independent country?
46% of federal government projects were not built. Where'd the money go?
Where did the money go? I would like to know too. So keep digging and let's find out. I mean, he's right with this. If this is true and money is missing, then yeah, where is the quality assurance? Because as far as I know, cons and UCP, they want to cut red tape. Red tape to me, quality assurance. So whether, again, lib, con, it doesn't matter. I don't care who you are. You need to be quality checked because chances are you may or may not be corrupt and we need to make sure that you're not. That's it. Let's keep going.
Where'd the money go? And I want to ask you a question. How come nobody looked into it? And how come nobody went to jail?
I asked the same question. I'm in on that. I agree. Let's hold all our politicians, all of them, to a better leadership standard. 100%. Probably as high as we do our teachers, who need to continuously be educated, who always have to do professional development, who are not allowed to ever stop learning. Politicians, fuck. What do they need to do? They just need to show up and get some money from some people and brainwash people? I'm not okay with that either. So let's go, Canada. Let's hold each and every politician accountable to being a leader and not a liar.
Do we have justice in this country if this is real and this is real?
Well, let's not say that there's just no justice whatsoever. I mean, you don't, again, need to trash everything. You just need to fix what's broken.
Does anybody in the room believe we elected kings? So if they're above the law, and they're clearly above the law, are they kings?
Are they above the law? Is it being investigated? I'm sure this is not just going nowhere, right? It just happened in 2025. We're only 2026. It doesn't happen overnight. We all know the systems are slow. There's not enough people in them because we keep shitting on all of them, so nobody wants to join them.
Mr. Gilbo, accused of siphoning $254 million into his own company, he still has it. Mr. Trudeau, $400 million in a green slush fund, he still has that as well. When Mr. Carney was about that, he says, oh, that was then, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I agree. All of that is bullshit and corrupt and should be stopped. 100%. But don't think for a second that the cons wouldn't do the same if they could, right? So again, the system needs to make sure that we have better quality assurance and better politicians. We need better laws, sadly, to make sure that politicians can't lie. Because obviously people are going around lying, spreading one-sided stories, and that seems to be okay, even though it's 2026 and we all know better.
So we've got $654 million there that we have missing and we're not looking. $250 million for a vaccine factory that never produced.
How about you go look for it instead of causing separation? Just saying. You got a whole team and a whole bunch of money, right? So why don't you go do justice instead of trying to separate and make it worse? Why don't you make it better instead of making it worse? God, could you imagine if teachers thought like this in the classroom? You get one or two kids who don't want to participate, or one or two kids who don't do the work right, or whatever, you just fucking give up altogether. Fuck it, I quit my job, I quit my life, I quit everything. Let's just separate. Okay, let's keep going. I gotta put my dog out.
Produced a vaccine. We're at $1 billion. Does anybody in the room remember when that federal MP had to resign over ordering a $16 glass of orange juice? That's how far we've come.
No, but I would love to know that story. And here's the thing. If anybody's being corrupt in any way whatsoever, they should lose their job. They should suffer the consequences. Everybody else does.
10 years. How many ethics violations does Mr. Trudeau have? 82? Those are all crimes.
Are they? Have they been proven in a court of law? What happened? I mean, listen, Trudeau's not my fave guy either. A little bit ignorant here and there. I also didn't agree with that fucking StatsCan app or whatever. But here's the thing is that everybody's human and also fallible and also manipulated and also blah, 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 blah. So you can only hold it against him for so long. We need to live and learn and move on.
An ethics violation is a crime. And when you catch them, RiveCan was a $75 million scandal.
I heard about this scandal too. And again, all the way from China. And again, because I had to use it and shit, right? But in the same way that I was supposed to get vaccinated and all of that jazz. And so that's a whole nother issue as well. But we need to live and learn from this, right? Again, we don't need to be throwing out the whole baby with the bathwater. Now we know we can't trust everybody, which I mean, how you didn't know before, I don't know. And now we know we need to demand more. Like, that's that. We just need to demand more transparency and more truth, not destroy the whole country and the whole planet and make World War III.
What did they do? The judge sealed it for 75 years. What?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a little corrupt too, right? So again, fix this. Don't just separate and throw the baby out with the bathwater.
What's that all about?
What that's about is corruption. So let's stop the corruption. That's it. If you're corrupt, you lose your job. If you get caught doing something bad, you lose your job. And then you go through the court system until proven guilty, blah, 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 blah. If there's somebody corrupt at the top, they get replaced. That's it. We hold people accountable. Quality assurance, checks and balances, all of that jazz.
So the judiciary is in on it too. How can Alberta negotiate with those people?
Here's the thing. He's trying to break all trust, create the hugest rift and division possible, right? Instead of just solving the problems, he wants to make them worse. That's all I'm hearing. Because in my head, there are much better solutions than causing separation.
They're criminals, plain and simple. How come nobody's looking into any of that?
Is nobody looking into that? Are we sure nobody's looking into that? How do we know nobody's looking into this?
Because they don't want you to know.
But we already know. I heard about it in China. Just because we don't make a big controversy about it and make a big tantrum about it and make everybody mad all day, every day about it, doesn't mean we don't know it's there. Doesn't mean it hasn't been compartmentalized and is being worked on somewhere. You don't even know. Did you go look? I mean, I want to go look now because I'm curious, but like, I can't see that just disappearing. And if it did, then yeah, that is a problem. You're right. And we should get somebody on it. You have a lawyer friend. Why don't you get on it? As opposed to doing separation.
Trudeau spent $11,000 million on overseas gender programs. Does anybody?
Okay, so again, I don't know where this comes from. I don't know what this headline is. And are we arguing about stopping discrimination? Are we arguing that we don't like the fact that we don't want to agree to two genders anymore and we want to move forward with our education and our thinking? Or actually, in a way, go backwards because what we did was we didn't listen to anybody and we decided we're going to do whatever we want over here and then we're going to make our own history and our own everything and blah, 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 blah. Trudeau, being an educated man and moving forward in the world, was probably trying to make sure that everybody gets the same human rights. And listen, I'm not saying he was the best budgeter. I'm not saying he was the best leader. I'm not saying anything. But what I'm saying is one-sided stories, wherever the hell this article came from. Like, I don't know if there's a real journalist behind this. I don't know if it's fake news. I don't know anything. There's no information here. Okay, so again, this is not what we need. We need collaboration. We need people coming to the table in good faith, right? To problem solve. Not to just stir the pot and take all the money and run. Again, read the sneeches. I mean, all I can see is Mr. McBean here. Let's keep going.
Do you believe that? Does anybody believe that he spent $11 billion on overseas gender programs? Well, let me share with you something that I'm not.
I mean, you know that there are literally groups of people bombing schools, killing girls, making sure they don't go to school, they don't get educated. Like, do you know what's happening around the world at all? And Canada's role and what we all do as first world countries. And like, you know, it's not just us. It's a whole planet with a bunch of countries and a bunch of people and a bunch of cultures and ideas and histories. Let's keep going.
Not sure, but I think this may happen. He would go to the president of a country and he'd say, you know what, I'll give you $1 billion. Give me 900 million back. And what do you think would happen? That's money laundering is what that's called.
Do you really think that's what he's doing? I want to see the paper trail of that. I've heard this scam and I know this scam exists, which is easily projected onto anybody if you really want, but I want to see the paper trail. I want to see the money that went from one place and went into another. That's all easily pulled.
Out of the country and they can't find it. But you know what?
I want to see all the paper trails that we can't find. Where are they? I want the proof of that, because if that's the case, I want to go after Trudeau my damn self. I'm sure we could all go and sue him and take his money out of his bank account, right? Since everybody's so mad at him for whatever else he did. So again, let's see all sides of the story. Let's not just present something and pretend it's factual.
I want you to understand something. That's borrowed money.
I want you to understand something. Everybody's living on borrowed money if they're in debt. You think the fucking USA is as rich as it is because it actually has money? No, it's the stock market and we're all banking on it doing well. Let's be real. Like the whole world is full of systems, okay? All of it.
Money's borrowed money because you're running deficit budgets every single year. So you're going to pay interest on that money. And I want you to understand something. Who the heck are we paying the interest to? They write a number on a piece of paper, and I don't know the answer to that. I'm just asking you. I got a feeling I might know. Why are we paying interest on that money?
What does he even know about any interest or what we're paying?
Foreign interference is the greatest strategic threat facing Canada, says CSIS. That's our FBI. So what are they interfering in? Elections. Trudeau must reveal which 11 federal candidates China reportedly aided.
Toronto Sun is fake news. It's American, and the journalists are known to be inaccurate just to make sales, let's say. Also, again, why are we talking about Trudeau? Also, why are we trying to vilify China? I'd be more worried about Trump-a-rooney than I would be about China. Anyways, let's keep going.
Has he done that? Did he do that? Of course he didn't do that. Why? Because they were all liberals, right? And if that's the case, and this is what he said, and I remember him clearly saying it, well, it didn't affect the outcome of the election anyway. But how do you know? Because they did it before.
Aided them how? Yeah, I want all the details too. So before we make it anything, we need to get the details. We can't just say it's something when we don't really know what it is, do we?
Results were in, right?
And I'm sorry, again, the Toronto Sun, I just take that with a grain of rice.
He won the clearest majority with like 35% public support. You remember that? You have to have some pretty well-placed votes to win a national election with less than 40% support.
Okay, taking note.
But he couldn't find these people, or he wasn't interested, so I found one for him. This is Nancy Ng. She's a cabinet minister. She had a failed subsidy program that gave away more than $130 million on the promise of promoting business startups. Never happened. And they're asking her, where's the money? And she said, I don't know. She never went to jail.
I mean, again, I would like to look further into this. If this was just coming out in August of 2025, it would still be an investigation and stuff. It's only March right now, so I don't know how fast Buddy thinks that the system works, but it doesn't work that fast. Like, there's a million things going on. Do you watch The Ledge? Do you watch the House of Commons? You see how much things need to get discussed and how many papers need to come and research and people and experts and this and that. Like, Buddy works with a lawyer, right? So, like, he should know better. I don't understand. Again, like, one-sided stories.
And 120,000 mail-in ballots were uncounted.
So again, Rebel News, X.com, I don't believe this as far as I can throw it, but what 120,000 mail-in ballots? For who? For what election? Like, what is this? It doesn't even say anything about Canada. It doesn't, like, this is not news. This is not facts. This is social media. It's not. This is nothing. This is nothing. Okay.
Remember how close that last election was? This is the last election.
I mean, this is just Trump Playbook 101, no?
Do you remember how close that election was? Some seats were like one vote. But they don't care about election integrity. So what does that?
No, we don't care. I mean, such grand generalizations, right? Like, you dismiss so many people, so many people's integrity, so many people's work ethic. It's disgusting. And at some point, like, you have to start thinking it's projection. Because why is it that you think that everybody is so shitty and trying to fuck you over? You have to be doing it to others. Let's look at this. RCMP are aware of 4,000 crime groups. Again, one-sided stories, right? Let's take out all the corrupt motherfuckers. Let's take out all the bullies. As far as I'm concerned, the RCMP are probably just as bad as the cons and the convoy. And like, listen, man, that's its own problem, right? That's another ball game that needs to be fixed, right? Yeah.
If we do not believe that we have integral elections, do you?
And again, who's this news coming from, right? This is just social media bullshit. Not saying that there's not corruption in the RCMP. There's corruption everywhere. Humans are humans are humans are humans, right? They need to be trained better. They need to have accountability. They need to be quality assured. All sorts of things need to be put in place to check and balance power.
Do you have any faith in the system at all? And I want to ask you a question. Will we ever win another government?
I hope not.
If these people are controlling it.
If these people are controlling it, who? Who's controlling what? Like, you're trying to literally say our whole voting system, our whole everything is corrupt, which is stupid because we're not the USA. I mean, yes, there is corruption, but we're a little bit better and we're trying to move forward and we're always trying to move forward. And you are holding us back by being a liar.
Be aware of over 4,000 organized crime groups operating in Canada. Well, that's funny that they should talk about that because look what happened in Mexico this week. They took out a crime boss.
We don't really know what happened in Mexico. All we have is a few news stories. We weren't there. We don't know the history. We don't know what's planted and not planted. That's got nothing to do with anything. I don't even know why he's bringing it up or trying to compare Canada to that.
Those are 4,000 organized crime groups with a head and a boss here in Canada. How come? Because we have no money laundering and racketeering laws here. And we also have very porous borders. So that
we don't at all? I want to go look into that. And if that's the case, then we should, right? That's what we need to be working on then, not separation, not cutting red tape like the UCP is doing in Alberta. How coincidental timing.
They can move their stuff in and out of the country. Canada's become one of the biggest fentanyl producing places in the world.
That's not true. It's not Canada. I want to know where he got this information because the lies that are coming out of his mouth are barbaric.
Mr. Eby checks 1% of the cargo that comes into the Port of Vancouver and the Port of Prince Rupert. So as a consequence to that, the door is wide open for fentanyl production. In Fox Creek, Alberta, they found 7,600 kilograms of chemicals used in making fentanyl.
There are drug labs all over the world. All over the world. So let's not make it like as if it's just Alberta or just Canada or a border problem. This has been since the beginning of time. There are outlaws, there are people doing crimes, there are people doing drugs, there are people trying to cope with society. There are a whole underground world of money making, trying to survive, right? There's so much more complexity than something as simple as like, oh, we have a fentanyl problem now. Again, let's not make it seem like as if we just have this border control problem and everybody needs to be meaner and everybody needs to go to jail more and like, no. Let's just stop what causes people to do drugs, make drugs, sell drugs, right? Why do we have a black market? Why do we need a black market? Why? Who's involved in the black market? Let's think a little deeper, shall we? Let's keep going.
7,600 kilograms.
And I mean, they found him. They put him in jail. What more do you want? You're not going to ever stop forever the black market. Hello? It's capitalism. That's what happens with capitalism. A black market. Can't just be the fucking politicians and the billionaires making money, right? Other people need to go make money too. You made the system like this. So yeah, this is what happens when you make a shitty broken system. Shitty broken things happen and then you gotta fix them. Let's keep going.
15,000 pounds, just about 8 tons of chemical to make fentanyl, which apparently fentanyl the size of a piece of salt out of a salt shaker could kill you. So how much fentanyl can they make with that much chemical? And it's obviously
So we better teach our kids not to do drugs, right? We better teach them to be confident in their own ability to say no. We need to make sure that we raise the next generation to stop making fentanyl, stop wanting fentanyl, stop needing fentanyl. This also ties to pharmaceuticals. It also ties to the North American culture of band-aiding everything with drugs and pills and some sort of quick fix, right? Anyways, more to that, but that's a whole nother rabbit hole, isn't it?
A problem with the Americans. When we went there and have a discussion with them, one of the biggest concerns they have was their northern border and drugs.
They talked to who? That was pretty vague. And I highly doubt that we have that many people crossing the border with drugs when we have all those security systems in place. So maybe some individuals are in on the system, right? And letting people pass and whatever, but that's a corruption problem and that's an individual problem. That's a human problem, not a system problem. So again, we need to stop framing it in a way that makes us all mad at each other, and we need to start framing it in a way of how can we make this better for everybody so that this bad stuff can stop.
And according to Stats Can, child sexual abuse human trafficking, extortion, and child pornography have increased exponentially. That's Stats Canada in the last 10 years.
So a little bit of fear mongering here. Yes, crime goes up. Crime goes up all the time. The more people you have, the harder life gets, the cost of life that goes up, more crime is going to happen. There's also probably more reporting going on. There's more people aware. So it's always going to climb. It's inevitably always going to climb. Child pornography. Who looks at that? What culture do you think's digging into that? Extortion. Where do you think people learn that? Human trafficking. Money making. Where do you think the problem lies? Like, let's just think a little bit instead of just fear mongering, right? When crime goes up, what does that mean about our society? What should we do in Canada to drop crime? How can we change our culture? Maybe if everybody wasn't chasing dollars and dog-eat-dogging everybody, we wouldn't be so okay with fucking people over. Let's keep going.
All of those things are organized by organized criminals. Identity theft, firearms crimes. We'll get to that in a minute. Mr. Carney says in April of 2025 that the biggest enemy to Canada, okay, well, let's back that up. Let's try that again. I just want to hear him say it.
Okay, so he just jumped from crime to the next thing. No further context on this. So again, just fear mongering? Like, what was the point of this? To teach us that as Canadians, we all need to be better humans?
And the speed with which our relationship has progressed in recent months. I believe the progress that we've made.
We're having some tech issues, it looks like. It happens. Tech issues happen all the time. So, like, you just don't even think twice about this, to be honest. You just patiently wait.
We went from China's our biggest enemy to now we're going to get into a partnership and we're going to change our entire political system.
Right. So let's just look behind this a little bit. Why was China seen as our biggest enemy? Because Trump wanted us to think they were our biggest enemy, right? Because America makes a lot of money off the backs of the Chinese. Let's be real. Every like Louis Vuitton thing, Coach thing, name brand thing, all being remade and resold in America. Counterfeit, real, doesn't matter, whatever, right? There's so much money being made off of the Walmarts, the Targets, all the stores that come with all these Chinese products, right? So again, it's so much deeper than what this guy is like presenting in this like separation bullshit. But I agree, the flip-flopping, the lack of transparency, the lack of truth in leadership is confusing and does need to stop. So on that point, 100%, there shouldn't be this flip-flopping. And if there is flip-flopping, then there needs to be transparency. Because in my opinion, Mark Carney's first statement was when he was buddy-buddy with Trump, and now he's like, whoa, Trump is insane, and we don't want to be like that, and so let's go make sure we have diversified, like, helpers and stuff. And now we're going to go talk to China and we're going to realize they're not as scary as we think. But here's the thing. China rules their people and controls their people the way they want to control their people too, right? Like, let's not for 1 second think that there's not any country that doesn't have some sort of leader that's pushing a narrative, right? So it's just, who is the leader? And is it full of lies, or is it truthful? And is it transparent? And is it educated? Anyways, I can rant forever. Let's keep going.
With China. And we're going to sign memorandums of understanding. And guess what? We're going to bring the soldiers here to defend Canada. Are you comfortable with that?
I mean, listen, if we need soldiers to defend us against Trump land, yeah, I'm okay with that. Because we all know Canada has a pretty small army. And we all know that the Chinese are raised every single year to do military school. So I'll take their military to help us against the Trumperoonies all day, every day. Let's hope, however, that grown adults can be grown adults and we can stop bombing people, that we can stop Trump, that we can stop these wars built on lies. Let's keep going.
All right. So here's where it all starts. In 2015, Mr. Trudeau said there.
Not at like contact or anything when we started making all these stupid rules and governments, and it didn't start then. It started with Trudeau.
There is no core identity, no mainstream in Canada, and consequently that makes us the first post-national state. What's a post-national state? New World Order, 2015, right?
There's no core identity because we are a multicultural mosaic, and that should be our core identity. Our ability to coexist coexist with all cultures, all languages, from east, west, north, south, the way we blend our cultures, the way we come together and work together to be there for each other as Canadian citizens on Turtle Island, or even just humans as humans on Turtle Island. Like this identity thing, the only reason we have trouble with our identity is because we have a bunch of divisive politics. Let's keep going.
Do you believe that Albertans have no core identity? We're hardworking, we're industrious, we're producers, we're intelligent, we're capable, and we work hard. We work more than anybody in Canada.
We work more than anybody in Canada. No, you don't, bro. Everybody works hard. You are disregarding the effort of so many people. It's disgusting.
That's a core identity. We're proud of what we do. We're proud of our jobs. In 1954, there was a statute in the Criminal Code of Canada that said it was illegal for media to lie to the public. However, in 2019, Bill C-39 was voted on and passed in Parliament to remove it.
Oh, and now it's back in again. Politicalhonesty.ca has been trying to stop lying politicians for like the past year or so. You've read the Sneetches, right? You should if you haven't. Dr. Seuss, it's a child's book. We all need to read it.
So it's legal for them to lie to you. So why do they want to lie to you, is my question.
Who's they? Who's they? Who wants to lie? Don't just blanket statement that, because only certain people, certain politicians want to lie. Not everybody. Let's keep going.
They're supposed to be on our side. Lying to you shouldn't even occur to them.
So funny that this guy is talking about lying. Meanwhile, he's been lying for the last hour of his chat.
This slide gets me in trouble, but it's not about the immigrants. This is 2015. The very concept of a nation founded by European settlers is offensive to me. Those stock white Canadians are an unpleasant relic and quite frankly replaceable, and we will replace them.
Ooh, that's pretty harsh, actually. That's a harsh truth, isn't it? That's why he doesn't like it. Because the fact of the matter is, people like this guy are offensive. People like this guy who don't realize what we've done as colonizers is offensive. I'm offended as a colonizer. I mean, I guess I'm not really a colonizer. I'm more of an indigenous ally, but like my ancestors are colonizers. I'm French Canadian. So like, again, we're twisting this guy to make it seem like he's horrible. But Justin Trudeau is the one who saw the white racism, right? Those of us who are blinded by, you know, a very short modern history that we're given, like as if we're God's gift to Canadian lands over here. Even though we weren't, we don't need to be the saviors of anything. We don't need to be the people who come over here and do all of this imperialism bullshit that nobody asked for, right? Like, white people have gone across the entire world and convinced people that imperialism and colonization is kind of the way to go. And then people kind of did what they wanted with that accordingly, right? Like, it's just mind-blowing to me how simplified this guy can take one thing and then just give you the one side of the story and call it a day. It's just mind-blowing to me. I just cannot. But yeah, I would like to replace all the white little racists too that don't know where they come from, that don't know their history, that can't understand that we're not God's gift to Turtle Island over here.
So we're not mad at the immigrants. Let's just be clear. They came here, they're coming here for everything that I grew up with, everything that I had. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, work hard, you can end up with a really good life, and people are basically going to leave you alone. You're not going to be in any trouble from your neighbors and everybody else, because that's the way I grew up.
No, you're not going to be bombed. Not that you're not going to be bothered. Hello? People get bothered all the time. That's just life.
However, what did he do? So let's just say he may or may not have said this. Let's see what his actions prove.
May or may not. What?
15 million immigrants into Canada since 2015. How is that sustainable?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not too sure about the like flood of immigration either. And I do think we kind of overdid it. Again, I'm not sure why. I don't know what the ulterior motive is. That's something to like discuss with Trudeau one-on-one, obviously. But there's some sort of logic that was put behind this, right? So what was it? And yeah, we did open the floodgates. So now we need to fix all of that, right? Like somewhere along the telephone line between provincial leaders and federal leaders, miscommunication is happening. That's a problem, right? That's a problem that needs to be fixed. That could be fixed with communication, not with separation, with communication. And let's not forget that the Premier of Alberta sure made a huge calling for immigrants, right? So let's not forget that this was all promoted by everybody, because I heard about it in China. Yep, that's right, all the way in China.
And we got 1.94 million temporary resident applications this year. And it looks like we're going to have more next year.
So, okay, right now, I don't really see an issue We're mad that there's people coming to fill spots that we need filled? I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, yes, okay, again, there was a lot of immigration. Yes, we need some systems fixed up and stuff. Let's just fix the systems now. Let's put more money in education. Let's put more money in hospitals. Where's all the money going anyways? In a politician's pocket? Just asking. I mean, you guys are collecting tons of money running around the province, right? What are you doing with that money? Where are all the donations going? Where are all the grift dollars going? Just curious.
And Peter Sutherland said, who worked for the United Nations, he said this.
In 2006, 20 years ago.
We must use migration to turn the English people into a minority in England. This will allow us to undermine the identity of the native English. There it is. You get enough people, the people that are there.
It's so funny, right? It's kind of like the genocide of ignorant white people. Almost like the ignorant white people are getting their karma back for trying to wipe out all the indigenous people of the lands that they've conquered. Oh boy, this guy is like the biggest hypocrite, right? Isn't that funny? So this is England. What does this have to do with Canada? Are you just trying to make sure that we're aware that we don't become a minority? Maybe we should be a minority because our voices are too loud with the conquering bullshit, don't you think? I mean, we obviously haven't learned our lesson yet if we still think that pillaging and conquering and stealing is a thing, you know?
Lose their identity and import a new majority that will end the very idea of England.
Because you know what the idea is, right? Colonization, that you are superior and you should go somewhere and tell people how to live, where to live, how to be, what's worthy, what dollar is more important than another dollar. Like, that's what they're getting at. You realize that? Let's keep going.
This is critical for globalism to take hold of England. New World Order. And there's replacement migration paper from the United Nations. If you think that they don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah, they're trying to wipe out the racists.
Canada has 33 taxes. Okay, so now let's look at this. They're lying to you, and they're bringing in immigration to destabilize our economy. 1.95.
Okay, all of these calculations, again, x.com, not a reliable resource, right? What your salary was and what your net worth is. Again, not exactly super sure how this was all calculated, but my salary is like 100 grand and my net worth is like 2 mil. So how do you calculate that? I want to know how these people's calculations was made. I want to know where this information came from. And yeah, how do you turn a government paycheck into tens of millions of dollars? Well, you do the same thing as everybody else. You invest in stocks, you invest in assets, you take out loans and you buy other assets. Like, learn the system and work the system, right? Like anybody else. Don't be mad that you don't know the system. Go learn the system. Not saying the system doesn't need to be fixed. It does need to be fixed. We got to keep fixing it. Continuous improvement all day, every day. Okay, let's keep going.
Even if they're temporary foreign workers, whatever it is, it's like a brand new Edmonton every year. Eventually, your system gets saturated with people and you just can't take anymore. The hospitals won't take it, the schools won't take it, and everybody's mad at the Conservatives because, oh my God, well, how did this happen? Well, the fact of the matter is...
But that's not true. That's not what we're mad at Conservatives for, is it? What are you mad at Conservatives for? Because I'm mad at them for being liars and not being transparent and trying to separate the country instead of fixing it. That's what I'm mad about. I'm mad about bullshit like this, one-sided stories. I'm not mad that there's a bunch of immigrants. I'm not mad that the hospitals are full. I'm not mad that the schools are full. I'm mad about how we're reacting to that.
Is that when you have uncontrolled immigration, everybody wants to come to Canada because it's got a lot of things going on.
Uncontrolled immigration. Let's relax. All of those people came in either as refugees, as rich people with something to offer. Like, it's all a big business, right? Let's be real. So people at the top are not just going to let Canada fail as a business. Not that I like it run that way, but let's be real.
But we also have the highest taxes in the world, 33 taxes. What does that do? That makes you poor.
We probably have the highest taxes that are being misused, mismanaged. I would guess that. But again, this is just a one-sided story, and it's just because we're angry about the fact that the money is not being spent where it should be spent. We can agree on that. We probably don't agree where it should be spent, but we can agree that it's not being spent in the right spots.
Sure. They know that. They're going to hollow out the middle class by making you pay 43% tax, 43 to 53%. What does that effectively do to you?
I don't even understand what he's talking about with this tax thing, because it's all brackets, right? If you make this much, you get taxed this much. You make this much, that part gets taxed here. Like, we're not American. Our taxes don't work the same. So yeah, it just depends how much money you make. The more money you make, the more you pay in taxes. Because again, why do you need so much? advantage other than you're just a capitalist who wants to overconsume. And we're trying to stop that. Stop overconsuming. You're killing everybody and everything on the planet.
Effectively enslaves you to your jobs so you can afford to eat.
Capitalism does that.
It does something else. It's very critical. It goes back to the last slide. It's very hard for you to afford to have 3 or 4 or 5 kids.
Yeah, it is 100%. Why? Why is that?
So that effectively plays into that other thing, the replacement migration thing. You need 2 incomes to have children. When I was a young person, it was very common for young people to get married and for the women to have children, and the guy holding a regular job, say let's plumber, electrician, could afford to go to work and could afford to pay for the wife to stay home so they could raise their families.
Let's be real. You can still do that if you want to, but the problem is the cost of life and all the luxuries and the groceries and all of that stuff is getting expensive. So again, that is a whole nother ballgame of issues, isn't it? We simply need to stop the billionaires from not sharing all the profits they make on everybody else, right? Capitalism is the problem here. Let's be real.
That is not in their plan. And here they are. Carbon tax, personal income tax, corporate income tax, GST, excise taxes on.
So again, we're still talking about Trudeau. Meanwhile, Trudeau is gone, Carney is in. The problem is not the leader. The problem is not the political party. It's the humans. The humans who are corrupted, who are getting into leadership. Politicians need to be leaders and not liars. And it literally doesn't matter what party you're from.
Fuel, alcohol, tobacco, cannabis, everything else, customs duties, air travelers tax, luxury tax, provincial territorial.
Actually, I want to talk about the cannabis thing because that was recently legalized again. I was in China when this happened, but now there's basically a cannabis store on every single corner. Where's all that money going? You're telling me that didn't pour billions and billions and billions and billions into the economy? So like, we're not really always asking the right questions here. There's a lot of things I can agree with Sylvester on with the way things are running and whatnot. Just don't agree in the way that we fix them or present them or frame them. Let's keep going.
Tax, capital gains, land transfer, media tax, regulation tax, CPP tax, business tax, estate tax. Look into the estate tax. You can't even give it to your kids. They charge you 50 to 60 to 75% on estate tax. And inflation. Every year, they print more money than they need. Every year, government expands. As a consequence to that, they need to print more money. Mr. Trudeau in 2021 printed $328 billion.
So again, this meme, one-sided information, not factual. I don't know where it comes from. Definitely not a resource or source or primary source or anything that we can rely on. We do know that, money is fake and they print and all of that, and that's a whole nother situation. But does this mean we should separate? Probably not, right? What makes you think that Alberta is not going to do the exact same thing once they're their own nation? I mean, you're planning on borrowing what, $500-something billion from what, Trump-a-rooney? That's a deficit and a half, isn't it?
Mr. Trudeau spent more money than all previous Canadian prime ministers combined in his tenure.
I don't know if that's true or not. I would like to look into it. Also, how much of that is due to cost of life? How much is wasted? Lots of things happened, right, when he was in tenure or whatever. So something about all the powers and political powers that be, it was all a little weird during that time, wouldn't you say?
$328 billion without an audit.
Yeah, so why isn't the federal government being audited? Who's checking and balancing? I want to make sure it's checked and balanced too. So if any of this is true, which again, I would take as a grain of salt because this guy's been lying to me since he opened his mouth. But yeah, we should look into it and we should make sure the checks and balances are there. But again, we don't destroy the whole country trying to fix some people's corrupt spirits.
That work. So this is what happens with inflation. If you double the effective money supply, the money that you have goes in half. So for example, let me be clear here. Everybody's bought groceries. Everybody sees a $100 bag of groceries used to cost $50.
But it's been like that since the beginning of time, right? Like I remember my mom used to tell me my 5-cent candies used to cost her 1 cent, right? Inflation has been going up and up and up since money has started. So again, is separation the answer or is fixing the system the answer? Let's keep going.
Let's use an example from my store, a box of Remington Corlock 30-06 ammo that was $29.99 for 20 years. is now $65. So the same box of ammo does the same unchanged. I'll cost you 60 or 65 bucks. It used to cost you $29.99. So if you multiply that by everything, you understand that it costs a lot more to live. So what we've got going on now is we've got inflation, we've got inflation on migration, they've changed, they're lying to you, and they're taxing the hell out of you. And I guess they're not interested in allowing you to pay it back because they cap oil production.
I'm so lost at how he ties all of these things together. Like, as soon as you start critically thinking, it just does not work.
So they borrow all this money year after year after year, and they don't want you to pay it back. They took the cap off of oil production. Guess what they just did? They signed that memorandum of understanding with our premier and increased the carbon tax sixfold.
Yeah, because they want us to stop using the planet like as if it's gonna be here forever if we keep doing what we're doing.
So they just moved it over.
I mean, it will be here for as long as we keep doing what we're doing, but we're gonna get wiped out. Do we just want to stop being the invasive species? Don't you understand?
Right? You just took it from one place to the other. And if you were in a business relationship and you had just borrowed a bunch of money to expand your business, you would have to find a way to pay it back. So what they're doing is they're actually doing the opposite. They're crippling you so you cannot pay it back. And if you think I'm kidding, Germany and Japan came to Canada with hat in hand and asked them if we would sell them natural gas. And what did Mr. Trudeau say? It's not in our business plan. How can you say that to them?
Again, why are we still talking about Trudeau? Is that still the case in 2026? How much of this has to do with treaty rights and the fact that we're trying to not abuse our planet to shit like a business? Let's keep going.
It'd be the equivalent of somebody coming to me and saying to me, Mitch, I want to spend $4 to $5 million a year in your store for the next 35 years. And I would say, no, I'm sorry, it's not my business plan. That's how ridiculous that is.
Well, it would be ridiculous if there was no logic or rationale behind it. So why don't you share the logic or rationale behind it? And then we could decide if it's ridiculous or not. Again, one-sided stories.
Germany and Japan pay their bills. They went to Qatar and bought that. They didn't do it out, right? They spent the money somewhere else.
Or is this just another business deal where they were able to find it at a cheaper cost somewhere else? Anyways, it just sounds like there's so much missing here. And even I don't know tons about like oil sales and what he's talking about right now, but I know he's presenting a one-sided story.
It's not in our business plan to keep our people employed, our kids working, and our GDP going up.
So one, the GDP is not the only important thing in the world anymore. We're not only capitalist billionaire dollar chasers. That, I mean, it exists obviously, but it's like not the main concern anymore. Honestly, he's just so old school. He just does not want to get into 2026 at all.
And here we go. Production cap is not a cap on emissions. It's ultimately a cap on production and Canadian prosperity, on jobs.
That's the way they have interpreted it. The caps is to make sure we don't destroy the whole place while we're trying to make a dollar. Like, to what avail, brother? Like, more until when?
On GDP and on our wealth.
What's going to happen when we have no more trees, no more oil, no more this, no more that, nothing left to sell? Sorry, I'm getting upset now, obviously. Just don't mind my reactions and my culture shock and my questions, because I'm just absolutely mind blown at this.
How about the tanker ban? We discussed it briefly. Quebec imports 1 million barrels of oil.
Not the same coast, not the same space. They're not up between our islands in Canada. You see, this is such lies and manipulation.
At $70 US a barrel, $70 million a day.
I mean, you realize the coastline is huge, right? And Canada and America is two different coastlines. I mean, same coast, but not the same shit beside it.
Is what they send somewhere else.
I bet you that guy doesn't understand the tectonic plates either.
And we give them $13.5 billion a year. How's that work? How do we not support our own business? How is it not against the law for them to import oil when we could easily supply it and already are supplying it for a lot of Ontario? That would create a boom. We would have a built-in customer. We would have stability. We could sell it at the same price that they're selling it at over there. Be no problem. We could put our own own people to work, produce our own oil, make us better off, and that's not a deal. How's that work? How's that work that they ban these boats on the West Coast, but they go down to St. Lawrence every day?
Again, learn a little bit about geology, geography, water, currents, tectonic plates. I can't believe the ignorance of this guy. You realize that the St. Lawrence River and the Pacific coast of Canada are two very different worlds.
And it's not about pollution because Montreal dumps its sewage directly into the St. Lawrence without treatment. So it's not that.
Feces and urine and stuff probably shouldn't be just going into the ocean, obviously, and whatnot, but a whole different ball game than oil. Let's be real. So again, I would want to look into this further, but just off the top of my head, the littering and the pollution is not the same.
Right? So they're not worried about the environment because even if that boat sinks, I got a really funny story.
And maybe they aren't worried about the environment, but that is also a problem, right? Because I hear a lot of people over there arguing about the environment too. So let's not disregard that people are fighting for the environment everywhere, not just in Alberta, not just in the west end of BC.
Sorry for you. Most people won't believe this, but neither did I, but I know it's true. I have a friend who works in an oil reclamation business, all right? He was telling me one day that he had a pipe burst.
He said, she said, telephone games are never real sources, but let's listen.
And oil basically covered half of a tree farm. Half of the tree farm. One half had oil all over the ground, and they stopped it. And then the other half, it never went there. So he went and talked, this is a tree farmer. He went to talk to the tree farmer, and he said, sir, do you want me to take that oil off of the ground? And he said, well, of course I do. He said, but sir, I want you to understand something. That oil is the best fertilizer there is. He said, your crop will grow exponentially compared to the other side. And he showed me pictures. 2 years later, the trees on the oil side were twice as high as the trees on the other side.
I somehow do not believe this, but I would be very willing to see the science and the pictures and the proof, because how could oil spill all over and somehow things grow better? This just doesn't make sense. So we're missing pieces of the story here.
Little known fact about oil. How about that? Also, I go fishing in the...
I mean, if that were the case, why would we be worried about oil spills then? I don't know enough about oil or the science of oil, but that would be a fun rabbit hole to go down to. And if I was a science teacher, that's what I would do. Let's keep going.
Richardson River, which is north of Fort McMurray. You can reach into the bank and grab the oil. It's in the sand. You can literally reach it and pull it out. Best eating fish, not toxic, water's crystal clear. Just saying, FYI.
Interesting. Maybe that oil is not as dangerous as we think because it comes from the land. I don't know. I don't know enough again about oil and all that jazz. I would have to go look in deeper before I'm convinced that there would be no danger. But it would be cool if there wasn't.
That's the eye test.
I mean, I would go with the indigenous people on this one, unfortunately, because I think they know better when it comes to the land. But I would be more than welcome to hear many more opinions and many more facts about whether oil is a danger or not.
And this is all based on this. The carbon taxes cost Canadians billions of dollars over 5 years, hurting the economy while reducing CO2 emissions by 11.9 gigatons. China produces 11.9 gigatons of CO2 every day and a half.
I think this is very interesting to compare us to China. Here's a little bit of what I know about China. China does still burn gas or coal, right? Hardcore. In the winter, you can see it. The air is so much more gray. In the summer, the skies are still kind of grayish blue. It's not really nice like here in Canada. But they counteract that coal burning by putting up a bunch of solar panels, by putting up wind turbines. So they kind of check and balance in that way, which, I mean, in some weird way, they just make more and more and more and more and more money. Whereas Canada, I think what we're doing is trying to end the bad stuff and only do the good stuff. I'm not exactly 100% sure of what the arguments are, because again, this is not my field of forte. I do know that climate change is a problem. I know that we're trying to protect and stop polluting the planet. But I also know that, you know, not everybody's on board and everybody goes about it a certain way and this, that, and the other. And so, yeah, again, one-sided story here about how we pay and this and that and the other. Maybe we need to, again, fix our systems, but do we need to separate? Because if Alberta's an independent state, or an independent country or whatever they want to be, they're still going to have to meet the climate change requirements. They're still going to have to do this, that, and the other. They might not like it, but they're still going to be required to do it. And if you don't do it, then what? You're going to become a little North Korea and just shut yourself off from the entire world? It's so limited with one-sided stories and anger, and there's so much missing.
And the coal comes from here. The only port in North America that ships coal is Vancouver.
I don't know if that's true or not true, but like we ship it to China because they're still willing to burn it. The fact that they don't have integrity or care for the planet should not influence us to not have integrity or care for the planet, because we white people are the ones who went over there and taught them to not have that integrity.
And I want to ask you a question. Do you believe that it's possible that they're using the fact that it's dirty to get our coal at a better price? 100%. Does that CO2 stay over top of China?
Mostly.
Blows all over the place.
It does blow all over the place, but you should see the dark cloud over China.
So they're not taking it very seriously.
And also, they used to have a hole over their country, right? And they don't anymore. Don't forget that people progress, right? We learn, we change, we adapt, we move forward. Pretty sure China over there is blending the best of everything, whereas we're like, fighting.
They don't pay carbon tax, by the way. And
China doesn't pay carbon tax. China doesn't even have taxes in general. I mean, we do our income tax and stuff over there, but like, you don't calculate the 10 or the 15 or the 5 or the whatever percent. It's just already in there. It's just all included. Everybody's already paying in. So that way we don't run around arguing all the time. And if China's not paying taxes like at the planetary level, it's again because their checks and balances are working out, where our checks and balances are not working out because you want to stop the wind and you want to stop the solar and you only want to do the oil and you don't want to listen and you don't want to move forward.
Neither does the USA, neither does China, neither does Russia, neither does Qatar, neither does Saudi Arabia, neither does...
Why not? Why don't they? How are they paying it? They're paying it somehow. One way or another, it's all coming out. So where's all the information, all sides of the story? Just because Canada has a carbon tax and wants to make their people aware of the damage they're causing on the planet. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that the tax is the way to go either, because where is that money going? But if it's a way to stop polluting and harming the planet, do something to counteract it. Do something good to balance your bad. I don't understand how people are not just walking out of this presentation just lost.
Venezuela. Nobody pays it but us. How come we're the only one with the carbon tax? Because they want to keep our oil in the ground. Why? The demand for oil is going up every year.
The demand for everything is going up every year.
These are the countries that pay carbon tax. None of those big oil producing countries are there.
Okay, so again, I don't really understand these infographics, where they come from. What feels very limited in the story. A carbon tax is something that our leaders obviously came up with. 1, to collect more money. 2, to encourage businesses to stop being so polluting. There's reasons and logic behind it, right? What they did with that money, I'm not exactly sure. I would love to know too. Let's see the paper trail. But again, not enough to cause separation. Like, why don't you get your lawyer to go find the paper trail instead of just falsifying these presentations?
None of the big emitters are there. Alberta produces 4.6 million barrels of oil a day. We're $100 billion in debt. Norway produces 2.1 million barrels of oil a day, and they have a $1.95 US trillion oil fund. How does that work? Where's the money? They produce half as much as us, and they have $2 trillion, which would run the entire economy of the entire country of Canada, and nobody would have to pay 1 penny tax.
I mean, none of that makes sense. If that were the case, we would be doing that. We would have been doing that from the beginning of time. It's nice that this works with like you and your friends when you sit at the table and talk about your own selfish ulterior motives, but like when you talk about everybody involved and all the people of the world and all the leaders and all the futures and all the generations and all that jazz, you're not making much sense. Like, again, it's such a limited, blinded perspective.
Where's the money?
I mean, I would like to know where the money is too, let's be real, but there's a paper trail. So get the paper trail, the real paper trail.
Saudi, they produce 3 things: oil byproducts, and silica. Okay? We produce oil, forestry, coal, hydroelectric, natural gas, fisheries, diamond, copper, nickel, iron ore, aluminum, silver, uranium, clean water, major agriculture, major forestry. That's up on the top. We have a $2.1 trillion debt. They are $260 billion in debt.
Again, where does this come from? Why is it so limited? Who created this? What's the source? None of this is valuable to me or to anybody with a critical thinking brain.
They pay no personal income tax. We pay 40%. They pay no sales tax. We pay 13%. They get a monthly check from the government, oil check, and they have free healthcare.
Yeah, they also have women who aren't allowed to drive. They also have very specific neighborhoods where white people can live if you go there. Like, it's all very different, right? Let's not make it seem like Saudi Arabia is the land of freedom. Like, I don't know what this guy's trying to get at.
And we are number one in the world in production of uranium, potash, second in nickel, third in oil, fifth in gold, and first in fresh water. And we're not even talking about forestry. There's 600 billion trees in the boreal forest north of here. And if you've ever flown over it, you can see it. I've been fishing all over the north. And I'm going to tell you something. Those 600 billion trees, only 30 billion suck up all the CO2 that Canada produces. So we have 570 billion trees unemployed.
I'm sorry. What? We have trees that are unemployed? That is the problem right there. Wow. I'm actually so flabbergasted by the fact that he just said that. And that is the problem, isn't it? You think that everything that exists is here to make a dollar. You haven't seen half of our country go from trees to cities? Because I have, and I'm 40 years old and I've seen it happen. So I can only imagine what the poor Indigenous people have been watching for the last, 500 years or so. This is the problem. You only see everything that Canada has, all the beauty, all the everything, as dollars. We're not meant to sell every tree. Let's keep going.
And not only that, those trees don't suck up as much CO2 as the grassland south of here. We're a carbon sink, but yet they're shutting our entire based on that carbon lie.
Shutting our entire world down. No, they're not. Why are you being so hyperbolic with this?
88% of our trade goes south. We're already landlocked, right?
Okay, so you want to just be besties with Trump land? Have you learned nothing? Nobody wants to be like Trump land. Trump land needs to stop. We don't join them. We teach them to do better.
If we become a free and independent country, we control our own borders. If we control our own borders...
You think you control your own borders? Who's going to save you from Trump? Because Canada's not going to come and save you after you betray the country. Hello?
BC ships 70% of the stuff that comes into Port of Prince Rupert and Vancouver east because we're the closest port to China. How hard would it be for us to say to BC, your trains stop at the border unless you allow us to ship our product through BC? We could twin TMX. If we twin TMX...
So they want a stronghold, whole province to get their own way, is what I'm hearing. Well, just stop your shit from going through from one end to the other end. Yeah, we'll just do that. Like, hello, stop strong-arming people. Stop bullying. Do you realize what you're doing? Have you even, thought about this? Or you just did and you're like, oh, well, we're gonna be bullies. It makes no sense to me.
Actually, no environmental consequence at all. None. Because it would be very close.
Oh yeah, to Kansas City, right? Where they're taking away human rights. It sounds like it's a bunch of Trump-roonies working together with a bunch of Trump-roonies, doesn't it? Why would you choose Kansas? What a coincidence.
To the one that's already there. How much would an extra pipeline generate in the province of Alberta? $26 billion a year net. And
then what? And then what do you do with the extra $26 billion? Put it in somebody's pocket because we know it's not going into education or hospitals. So what's the point?
Chinese, Taiwan, will take as much oil as we can send them.
So will China. You know, Taiwan is not really China. China's not really Taiwan. I mean, it is, but it isn't. You probably don't know the history behind that either, do you? Or the China and the Hong Kong and the Hong Kong and the China. Let's keep going.
I want to share with you a little known fact. Our heavy oil is much better for making diesel than sweet Texas crude. And we're selling it at a discount.
Why?
Why is that? Because we have to, based on the arrangements that Ottawa's made for us.
We have to, based on what Ottawa has said for us. I'm sure it's not just like one person in Ottawa who made the decision. Again, why are you framing it like that? A bunch of people have come to the table to talk about it. If there's something wrong, then those people should come back to the table and talk again. Why are you stirring the pot and making things worse instead of making them better? I just don't understand.
It's like the old business adage. The good news is I sold $1 million worth of stuff. The bad news is I didn't make any money, right? And that's what's going on here.
Is that what's going on now? Because what's all the talk about the projections and how we thought the oil was going to be worth this and now it's not worth that and blah, 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 right? We're all playing on stock market bullshit. So let's not forget that. Let's not forget that some old people at the top are doing all sorts of funny things and not being transparent about it.
There's internal deals going on with all this. You know what the differential is? The differential is what we pay less, what the Americans pay less for our oil than world price, 22%. So that oil, if you look at where that oil comes from, right up there by Fort McMurray, you go down a little bit. That's where Bonnyville is. That's where I live. And we produce 35% of Alberta's oil. That oil goes in a pipe at Coal Lake, and by the time it gets to Chicago, it's increased in 22% in value in the next day. And it's the best oil there is in the world. All the byproducts from oil come from our heavy oil.
So again, I'm not sure I'm getting his point. He just wants more money for himself and his oil people? Because yeah, okay, why are we selling it to the States at whatever price? Why aren't we making more money? Obviously, it's a business deal of some sort, but we're all getting screwed on that. So why don't we just change that for everybody as opposed to just for little Alberta? What makes you think that a capitalist like this is not going to be as capitalist as the other corrupt capitalists? Makes no sense to me that you would trust one over the other.
And if you think they're just attacking us,
I'll tell you who I would trust more than the other, the one who's looking out for most humans, not just the deepest pockets.
in the oil business, they'll see to, now there's going to be a litany of really stupid laws coming. Okay, I want you to understand something.
A litany of really stupid laws. Well, if they're stupid, why would they be being passed in? You're telling me everybody who's discussed these are stupid? What laws exactly? Are they stupid because they're trying to stop the destruction of the planet? Are they trying to tame capitalism? Are they trying to tame corruption? Let's take a look. And again, global news, one side of the story. Always go get more news. I mean, at least we know who it's coming from, but it's only one side of the story. We could use a lot more. Also, it's 2024.
If you're going to own nothing in 2030, they're going to have to legislate it in. Legislation which will allow them to commit atrocities. There's a lot of us and a few of them. So they have to be very careful that they prepare themselves so that they can break the laws, or the laws that we have now. Bill C-293 says that in the case of an emergency which they will determine, they can come to your land and see.
Who's they? Who are these people they're talking about? Like, why is he fear-mongering so much and being so untransparent?
Seize your farm and your herd, right? And they killed, what, 315 ostriches? That's the entire herd. Canada Food Inspection Agency went in there, didn't test a bird, and killed the whole works of them.
They just went in and killed them all, eh? Sounds like we're missing a big part of the story. Wasn't one of the birds sick? Wasn't there some sort of bird flu or bird something something? I feel like there's some missing information here. I can't just see random people just randomly going to kill randomly. Well, actually... some Trumperoonies, maybe. So if we have Trumperoonies going around killing innocent animals, yeah, we need to stop them. But is that really what's happening? I don't know. I'd have to go dig further, but I do remember that it's a very controversial ostrich story. I would like to follow the actual paper trail because, again, what sense would it make? Let's keep going.
That's muscle flexing.
Muscle.
That's a muscle flexing exercise. That's all that is. There's no.
I think if it was a muscle flex, we would have all heard about it and we would have heard, we're gonna kill your sick animals, so you better make sure your animals are healthy. I didn't hear any of that. I didn't hear any mongering from anybody other than this guy and like the fake news. Let's keep going.
No logical reason for it.
No logical reason that he went to look for.
Wanted to see if they could.
They wanted to see if they could. Really? Who's they? Again, just because there are some corrupt people out there doesn't mean every single person is corrupt, right? That's why you gotta go look at all sides of the story and really find out.
Pfizer said, the Pfizer papers, they tried to hide them for 75 years. Why?
I'm against Pfizer. I am against pharmaceuticals. But the only reason I feel this way is because when I went to China, I had just gotten in a car accident. The doctors here in Canada had put me on 3 prescription medications. I was in China. I eventually ran out of medicine. I went to see a doctor there and they were like, whoa, you guys with your pharmaceuticals over there, like you don't need to be on this medicine. You can go exercise, you can eat healthy, you can do this, you can do that. They gave me like lifestyle changes to do. And I was fine and I got off the meds within like 3 months. So yes, there is a severe pharmaceutical issue here in the North American continent. I would say it's more pushed from the US coming up than the opposite. But yeah, it does need to be addressed and it does need to be stopped because traditional Chinese medicine, indigenous medicine, that kind of stuff, way better than any pharmaceutical all day, any day. And I would put my money on it. I personally am a believer in plant medicine over pharmaceutical medicine because you literally took the plant, you've synthesized it, and now you're charging me even more. Another problem I have as a leukemia patient in China, I can get my medicine for like $80 to $100 per month. In Canada, if I didn't have universal health care, I would be paying $3,000 to $1,000 a month. Now tell me why the same 30 pills has to be so incredibly cost different. Tell me why I can't get my medicine from China if I wanted to. Why do we have to pay $4,000 in Canada instead of $80 in China? So yeah, there is some corruption, and the rich want to stay rich and all of that jazz. But let's not make it so we need to make everything worse. Fix the problem by fixing the systems, not by separating. Let's keep going.
The U.S. judge got that out, and now that's out there. Read it. It's required reading. And this week,
again, like, who put this out though? Who's Michael Wagner? And who's Naomi Wolf? And who wrote the Alberta pandemic response, right? So I would like to go look into these. There's nothing wrong with going to look into these. I'm super curious now, actually. Let's keep going.
Pfizer whistleblower reveals $11 million payout to influential Canadian government officials.
I mean, this I wouldn't doubt. I would love to go dig down this rabbit hole because there's tons of corruptions with the pharmaceuticals on the North American continent. I mean, let's be real, it's probably everywhere, but there are countries that are pill pushers, believe it or not. Not once in China did they try to push anything on me other than my leukemia medicine, healthy diet, healthy exercise, yoga, stretching, hanging out with friends, dancing in the street. It's just a whole different world over there.
Are we looking into it? No.
Are we? Shouldn't we? How could we not be? And if we're not, we should be. You got a lawyer, bro. Get him on it. Why are you looking at separation instead of not holding the people accountable who should be held accountable? Let's stop pharmaceuticals. Let's stop legal drugs. Let's start talking about lifestyle. Let's start talking about healthy eating. Let's stop poisoning our people and our planet. I'm in. Let's go. See, so we can agree to disagree, but we can find solutions that work for everybody, can't we? Or no, we need to separate. Let's keep going.
No, why should we? All right, now we're going to get into some really stupid rules. If you resist one thing in your entire life, digital ID, digital currency. C8, if they're going to be able to take your bank accounts away, if C8 goes through, it'll allow them to kick you off the internet with no due process.
No due process doesn't sound very Canadian. So again, it sounds like this guy is just spinning a narrative here. The way I look at it, survey anything you want. What do we gotta hide? If you have nothing to hide, you wouldn't have a problem with being watched or controlled or whatever way you want to spin it with the digital this and digital that. Kick you off the internet? Maybe you should be kicked off the internet if you're a danger to others.
And they don't have to justify it after.
I don't see they don't have to justify. If that's the case, we need to fix the clause. We need to fix that it does need to be justified. Everybody deserves due process, good or bad. Everybody deserves full truth and transparency, if that is the case. But it would be something to look further into. So again, you would just pop open Google, C8, read all sides of the story, and see what you think.
Bill C-15 makes ministers, federal ministers above the law. It will give them the power of kings.
So again, who made this infograph? Because I could make this. And where does it come from? What's the other side of the story? This isn't all of it.
Deal with government precedent.
Like fast tracks dictatorship? I can't see that. Let's go look into it further, shall we, before we make a decision?
They don't have to worry because they can make a determination of how things are going to work and live by it. So conflict of interest, not going to be a deal. Environmental, not be a deal. Lobbying rules, not going to apply. Labor standards, not going to apply. Privacy bias will not apply. Anything a minister administers, he can do whatever the heck he wants. There's a really good...
It sounds way too loosey-goosey, to be honest. So again, I can't see this being real, what he's saying as it is. Something to look further into.
Video on this on YouTube of a conservative MP talking to the gentleman that brought this in. And he said, yeah, it would be very convenient for us to do this. Unchecked power, the power of kings. Why are they passing these laws? Now, this is the one that I'm all bent out of shape over. Bill C-9, the hate bill. This is a very dangerous bill. It uses the concept of naming a group. Who would name the group? The Privy Council, the Liberals.
So we're scared about Bill C-9 as far as I'm concerned, because we want to be able to have things like Turning Point USA and Judo Christians and like people who want to annihilate other people.
So they would decide, for example, that everybody in this room is a hate group. Okay? So by being part of this group makes you guilty. And then
fear mongering. That's what this guy is doing right now.
There's an unlimited forfeiture clause, which you can do whatever they want to you. So let's read this. A political entity, the Order of Council, names a group a hate group pursuant to 83.01. From there, the members of the group are all guilty by virtue of the possession of the symbol.
Why is that a problem? Don't be a hate group.
Mark Miller, liberal, in debate names the Bible and Torah as hate. So reading the Bible is now going to be hate.
Oh, you see the pull to white Christianity here, right? Interesting. No worries about the colored people, though, and their religion.
The Conservatives, all of them, voted for this. They didn't stand up. They didn't say, no, we don't agree with this.
Why would they? You think because they're conservatives that they're going to be far right-wing extremists?
No, this is unchecked power.
How is it unchecked power? We're trying to stop hateful, dangerous groups like Trump-a-roonies who want to pew, pew, pew people.
This is ridiculous.
This isn't about practicing your religion. It's about practicing your extremist religion that makes you think it's okay to hurt, harm, annihilate, colonize other people.
Well, they didn't. So it's going to be my job to call them out, and I'm going to be on it first thing tomorrow. There's no religious defense. It means the group is Christians, Torah Jews, and because he said other religious texts, that means the Quran. They're not fussy. They don't care what religion they're attacking. They want to attack them all. How many churches have been burnt in Canada in the last number of years? Say 600. And if that's not true...
Is that true? 600 churches have been burned in Canada? I didn't know that. What kind of churches? Who was in the church? Why? How come we didn't hear about it?
Blame Leighton Gray, and I believe it's true.
Believe it's true.
This enables the government to target the religious individuals as part of the group.
I'm sorry, I'm having a really hard time understanding how he's connecting this. When have you ever seen the government blow up a church? I mean, the government was the church back in the day, vice versa. And we've been trying to separate that forever. This man is missing so much knowledge and just basic information. And anybody who believes him is also missing that information, because if you just knew any of the questions that I had, most answers to the questions that I had, you would see that none of this makes sense. Okay, let's keep going. Let's just see if it gets any better.
This is exceptionally evil, broad, and typical only of communist countries. So how...
Communist countries that are trying to ensure that they don't kill each other over their differences.
How could this possibly go wrong? Now, this is the part that I find is amazing. There's an unlimited forfeiture clause. So what is it? Whatever they determine it to be. So first of all, the Privy Council is telling you that you're part of this group, and then they get to determine whatever the punishment is. So is it your house? Is it your bank account? Is it your life? You are the person by which the means of the offense was committed. So just by being part of the group, why are the Christians...
So are they really just worried about the Freedom Convoy people here right now? The big old bullies who think they can do whatever they want to the majority of Canada because they want things their own way? I mean, are these people really that ignorant to not realize that they are the problem and the laws that are being made is to protect us against them? And that's why you hate them so much, because you don't see that you are actually the cause of this? Let's keep going.
Church is not going ballistic over this. I don't know. There is the most problematic forfeiture clause ever written. What happens next is this. Now you interpret this. Listen to this. May, in addition to any other punishment imposed, be ordered by the presiding provincial court judge or judge to be forfeited to His Majesty and right of the province in which that person is convicted for disposal. What does that mean? That disposal mean moving you out of the country, moving you out of your, or getting rid of you?
Indeed. What does that mean? And that is why bills such as this are discussed at the House of Commons for so long, right? They get proposed, everybody presents their side, they go do a bunch of research, they come back, they present all the sides, and then together they're supposed to have a decision, right? So if there is an issue with the word disposal, then we bring that up and we say, let's clarify that. And we clarify what we mean by disposal. If you don't like a law or a rule, bring up your issue and let's discuss it and deal with it. Not pull a tantrum and leave the country. And if that's the case, you want to pull a tantrum, leave the country. But you don't get to take Alberta with you. You don't get to take the treaty land with you. You don't get to take the people with you, or the oil or the resources or any of that jazz, because none of that belongs to you either. It's not yours. It's not yours to control. It's not yours to take. It's not yours to give. So yeah, okay, let's look at Bill C-9. I don't like the idea of some big blanket disposal either. Checks and balances prizes. Again, I will say what I said in another video, but when I had met one of the ladies whose bank accounts got frozen because she was part of the convoy or whatever, my initial reaction was to call her a terrorist. And now, don't get me wrong, that was wrong and I apologized for it. But I was like, whoa, you must be really bad if the government has to interfere with your bank account. Like, you must be doing some pretty good damage and be pretty untrustworthy. Anyways, I just wanted to share that because, again, I'm just so flabbergasted. Like, this is actually worse than the Calgary Convention. Let's keep going.
But my question is this, how can that be that open-ended? How come there's not definitions wrapped all around that?
Yeah, I agree. We can all agree. And is there, or are you just presenting us one side of the story? And is it just because it just started? We haven't really gotten there yet. Bill C9 has only just been proposed, I thought, right? I'd have to look up the House of Commons and see where it's at. But again, we're missing some information here. And I can agree that, yes, the language should be very, very, very clear. But is this even done yet? It's still in the works. Let's keep going.
Has it ever happened anywhere in the world where they picked a religious group and disposed of them? And are we not?
Lots of places all over. There's cultural wars or religious wars all over. Think they're not doing it in China? You think they're not doing it in Thailand? You think they're not doing it in India? Hello? If there's anything that white people taught the world well, it was how to fight.
Naive enough to believe that just because we live here, that couldn't happen to us. If they're not thinking of doing this, what the hell is this all about?
This is to protect Canadians from wackadoodles who want to only share one side of the story, stir the pot, and create a little civil war of separation.
Right? What is this all about? We don't need that. Do we have hate crimes as problems here in this country? Very minimally.
Minimally or not, what does it matter? Why would you want to allow hate crimes of any kind? You're more worried about the fact that you're causing hate crimes and you're about to get busted for it.
Socialism is precisely the religion that must overwhelm Christianity in a new order.
Socialism is not a religion. There's no God. There's nobody to follow. It's just the idea of like living collaboratively instead of dog-eat-dogging each other. Okay, I oversimplified it, but it's just so annoying to me how these people villainize so many things by using only one blinded side of the story.
Culture via infiltration of schools, universities, and churches. Has anybody noticed any of that? Socialism triumphed by first capturing, going on?
Yes, lots of this going on. Because now we're teaching kids true history. We're teaching kids we should be nicer people, nicer cultures, not conquering, killing cultures. So you want to call that whatever you want, you go ahead. But when your religion justifies killing people, that's the end. That's it. Too bad. 2026, get into it.
Are you afraid, as I am, of what's going on here?
Afraid of people caring for each other? Afraid of people stopping to think they're better than others? No, I'm not afraid of that at all.
Because I'm telling you, and here, it doesn't stop there. Do you know what the red flag law is?
Why do they want everybody's guns? Whose guns? We're in Canada. We don't have a Second Amendment. The only people with guns are hunters. Nobody's asking hunters to bring their guns in. We're trying to stop illegal guns. We're trying to stop Trump-a-rooney issues. We don't want ICE meets RCMP meets civilians where we're killing people in the streets for standing up against what is wrong. Stop trying to make Canada America. It's not. They want to take away the guns because they don't want a bunch of gun problems like in the USA. Let's not make it more than what it is.
Well, I'll tell you what the red flag law is. The red flag law says that if he tells the RCMP, that would be you, yeah, that I have guns that he doesn't approve of, they could come to my house without a warrant and seize all my guns.
What's the problem with that? If you have illegal guns, you should have them removed. If they're legal, you're going to be just fine. So what is the problem? If you're not guilty of something, what is the problem?
And then I would have to go to the RCMP and prove that I'm innocent. So
God forbid we keep people safe in this country, right? And make sure that we don't get a gun problem. I'm sorry, I don't understand the problem here. If you're not guilty of doing something wrong, you're not going to have a problem. So why are you making a problem?
what happens to countries after the citizens are disarmed? So they're setting that.
After the citizens are disarmed. Canadians have been disarmed. We've always been disarmed. We've never had a Second Amendment or a gun in everybody's pocket or like a right to carry or any of that. That's why we don't have school shooting problems and we don't have these problems and that problems like we do in the States.
That into motion.
I mean, does this guy realize we're in Canada? Do you think that he knows the difference between Canada and the USA?
Based on all the stuff that's been, what are they using? All these mass shootings to say people shouldn't have guns.
What mass shooting? The ones in the States because they have a gun problem and a gun culture? Yeah, that's a problem for sure. Weren't you the one that just said like 10 minutes ago that we don't have mass shooting problems in Canada? Didn't you just say that when we talked about the churches?
Do you know that there's a group of people, a very identifiable group of people, that have committed 75% of the mass murders in the last 10 years? And did you see the RCMP? I'm not going to name it. I'll let you do the work.
Why not? Why wouldn't you? If it's factual and we should all know, why wouldn't you name it? I would like to go do the work. Why aren't you helping? Why are you being so secretive all of a sudden? You weren't having any trouble exposing other things.
RCMP said we're not going to pick on this particular group of people when they did that press conference with the Tumbler Ridge murders.
I'm sorry, what? Are you trying to say that RCMP need to go target white psycho men? Because yeah, they probably should, you're right. Or are you trying to get at the fact that this was planted that it was a trans person and so trans people should be taken care of? Let's remember that trans people are less than like 1% of the population. So maybe the RCMP has better things to do than find the one random trans person who may or may not have a mental health issue, who may or may not become a murderer. Because let's be real, we all know that the Tumbler Ridge thing wasn't actually a trans problem, right? And you guys are framing it that way. What's happening here is, again, we're just trying to be divided and stir the pot. And that's what seppies are good at. Let's keep going.
Why? Why are they allowing that? They know what's going on. They know these people. That person had her guns taken away by the RCMP and they give them back.
That person had a problem. That person needed help. That person does not represent a group of anybody's.
Mother went to get him back, and who did he shoot first? Mother and brother, right?
Funny how he's flipping back and forth between he and she, right? Like, you don't even know your information, buddy. You're just trying to frame it in a way that keeps people divided, right? Just like your little meme over here that I'm sure you're going to get to shortly as well. I just want to make very clear, Switzerland, yeah, they all have guns in their basements, but they have guns in their basements because they're trained to get ready for the Trumperoonies, not to go conquer. It's so that if they try to get conquered, you see the difference? Because they learn from history. Because keep in mind, Switzerland is the neutral country, right? In history, we learn that Switzerland has always been neutral. They don't go right, they don't go left, they don't do this, they don't do that. I don't really know for sure. I'm not a Swiss. I don't know real Swiss history. I do know that the Swiss were always seen as neutral. I've met a few Swiss people, and they have told me that yes, they all get military training, they all get access to a gun, but they don't have a gun problem because their culture is not about conquering. Their culture is collaborative. Their culture is about the well-being of everybody. Their culture is about the education for everybody. So it's very different over there. Why they have guns and why like Americans have guns. Also, they don't walk around with their big old guns everywhere. No, they're locked up somewhere safely. They're not there to intimidate or fearmonger. They're literally there in case Trumperoonies come around to their country and try to conquer them. So learn a little bit before you start giving out these one-sided stories. You're right that guns are not the problem. People are the problem. But American culture and American gun culture is a problem in America. And we don't want it here in Canada.
Same thing happened in that arena in Texas. Charlie Kirk, victim of the same group. And the population of 8.2 million people, banned citizens from owning guns. Highest homicide rate in the world. Switzerland.
Let's go look at Honduras history and colonization and classism and racism and all the bullshit they also deal with over there. You can't compare apples and oranges and say it's the same thing.
Population 8.2 million people requires citizens to own guns and have the lowest homicide rate in the world. You know what they do? They train their young men and women to become soldiers, and then they send them home with their automatic weapons. Not pop guns like we have here, fully automatic military weapons. Actual assault rifles, not semi-automatic.
So what does this guy want? He wants us all to have an automatic weapon or something? What are you even whining about? That we need more guns?
Not jimmied, not so they can't be as effective as they're meant to be. They have two of those, one or two of those in every house in the country, and two trained people that know how to use them. And guess what? Nobody gets shot there. And which country did nobody invade the last two world wars? Do you think that's an accident? I don't think you want to be climbing up a mountain and having the guys in the house that know how to shooting at you while you're doing it. I mean, that's literally the way it would be. The Americans understood this. Why do you need guns? Why do the citizenry need guns? What could you possibly? Well, you don't need guns. Everybody says the same thing. To protect yourself from government. That's why you need guns. You don't need guns.
You only need a gun to protect yourself from the government if you have a Trump-a-rooney government. So how about we stop voting in corrupt, lying politicians who just want to run everything like a business and line their own pockets, and hire or vote in leaders who actually care about the well-being of everybody and everything, including the land and the waters and the planet. This guy's so ignorant. Let's keep going.
To shoot a deer, you can shoot a deer with a bow and arrow. I know that's hard to hear, but it's the literal truth. If you're not seeing it, I'm going to have to try harder. But what I'm trying to explain to you is this: step by step by step, they're taking all of your rights and freedoms away from you.
We never had the rights and freedoms to bear arms like the US of A. And we don't want to in Canada. We don't want to need that against our government. We want our leaders to just be leaders, not liars and killers and like control freaks. I don't understand why you would want us to be more Trump-land-like and less Canadian-like.
And we got the lowest GDP in the industrialized world. There is
in the industrialized world. The GDP is only one way of evaluating the success of a country. One. That's it. That's it. One. There are many other ways. How about like whether your people are on the streets or not? How about whether or not you go to war? How about whether or not people are getting the medical care and the education and the happiness that they need in their life? Did you ever think of that stuff? No, probably not, because you only ever think of money.
There'll be no way that we can have a 1.4% growth domestic product in 10 years unless you try here. You have to.
And where did this infographic come from? Who's reporting? It's not enough, right? It's not enough.
Try to do that. There's no other way you can do that here in this country. They consciously suppress our economy. Ireland has 40% GDP growth in the last 10 years. What's Ireland got compared to Canada?
The thing is that Canada's like already super up here. As you get closer and closer to the top, right? As you get better and better and better and better, there's only so much more up you can go. When you're down here, it's easy to go up. When you're already up here and there's not much more to go and there's like a ceiling, the rationale of the sky got so many holes. You know?
And Mr. Trudeau, because he couldn't explain his $400 million and his $400 million green slush fund and his 82 ethics violations, hands the keys over to Mr. Carney. So first thing that happens is in May alone, $16.2 billion worth of capital fled Canada. Because why? Because they understand what's going on.
I don't really understand what that means exactly, but better dwelling. Who is that? What is this one-sided story? Dump domestic assets. Again, so we need more information. This is very limited. Country, fewer jobs, less growth. I mean, I don't see that at all. Fewer jobs, less growth. Like, the unemployment rate hasn't gone up. People are getting jobs. I don't know. I don't understand this one-sided story.
Over the last 4 months, nearly $84 billion has left.
And how many came in? You're only showing us one side of the story.
Our financial genius who's heading our country. And I want you to look down. What Carney ultimately wants is a technocratic dictatorship justified by climate alarmism. Do you know what the technocratic dictatorship is? It's big business, unelected business, running the country. Monarchs. In the early 1900s.
I mean, I think we can all agree in Canada that we don't want monarchs and we don't want that. So if that is what's happening, then yes, we should look into it. I'm not saying Carney is the most innocent person in the whole wide world. I'm not saying he's not corrupt. I'm not saying anything. But what I am saying is that it really doesn't matter whether it's a Lib, whether it's a Con, whether it's a Carney, whether it's a Trudeau, whether whoever sits at the top. Checks and balances need to be had, period. So more quality assurance, more red tape, more double checking, more quality assurance, more jobs, more money. Let's keep going.
The head of Germany decided that the people of the Congo needed to harvest all the rubber in the country for him. So all of these poor black people harvested the best rubber in the world because at that very time.
So funny that he's trying to use Germany as an example of racism and power and control when we literally have that same history over here in America, in Canada. Who did we bring over to do the work? Who did we enslave? Who did we manipulate? manipulate and lie to and take advantage of. Did you forget that part of our history, Mr. Sylvester? Let's keep going.
Is when cars were coming, so they took advantage of those poor people and made them harvest all the rubber so that the king could benefit. I want you to understand something about these guys.
I love the references here because it's true. It was corrupt. It was bad. And we have been fighting against that ever since, against literally one-sided storytellers like this guy. Like literally what he is doing is what we have been trying to stop.
So you have a decision to make. You have to understand that, do you want them to have everything that you produce or 50% of it? So they're taking you and they're saying to you, well, I want you to go to work and you can give me half of what you earn. No matter what you do, you just got to give me half. If you don't give me half.
But that's not what's happening, right? Like, nobody's taking half of anything. Again, our taxes are set in brackets. Everything is the same accordingly to what you make. Like, let's keep going.
I'll put you in jail. And that's exactly what they're doing to you. I guarantee it.
It's not that black and white.
So he wants a technocratic dictatorship, big business running the whole country like it's their own business, and all of you like you're their employees.
You know, what's funny is that's exactly what the Seppies want to do by separating Alberta. They just want to be the ones in charge. They don't want somebody else to be in charge making the decisions.
And is that happening? Well, we talked about an industrial carbon tax, six times carbon tax, which is going to increase the price of production of a barrel of oil from $6 to $10 a barrel. And on top of that, the deal that our premier signed, that memorandum of understanding, we have to have pathways, which is the right to be able to produce oil. We have to pay that price. That's going to cost us $20 to $50 billion to take CO2 out of the air, liquefy it, put it into the ground, very toxic. If it comes out, and they don't know where it's going, they're just injecting it into the ground. It increases production in oil wells. But what else does it do? If it comes up, it'll kill everybody in this room in minutes.
Okay, so I'm not 100% sure about all of this stuff. This again is why we have checks and balances, right? This is why we need to work with the experts of every department to make the best choices. So again, we need all sides of the story.
That's how toxic it is. And why? Why do we need carbon-sucking machines in Alberta? We don't. It's nonsense.
Why is it nonsense? Why are we being asked for it then? Again, we're missing a lot of information here.
And our economy shrunk by 0.3%. He's doing it on purpose. He understands what he's doing. He's done this before in other countries. And he pumps $33 billion into bureaucracy. Why wouldn't he build us, just for example, let's a stupid example, take that $33 billion and build us a pipeline that would produce $26 billion a year for us every year for the next 50 years.
Because there's already a pipeline in the works, because bureaucracy and business is not the same thing, because there are other important things other than just oil and making another dollar off our oil resources. Hello?
The return on investment on that is pretty good. Instead, he puts it into bureaucracy. What do? Nothing. What they do is it's equivalent, if you have a housekeeper in your house and then you hire 5 more, your house doesn't get much cleaner and you haven't accomplished anything. You just increased your wages 5-fold.
Bureaucracy is like your checks and balances to make sure that corruption doesn't happen. And then you got to make sure that the bureaucracy that's getting written in is not corrupted. It's all quality assurance and balances and checks. That's the problem, because unfortunately, like you've said so well, humans are humans are humans are humans, and unfortunately not exactly trustworthy, especially once they get in positions of power and control.
That's what bureaucracy is. They don't produce anything. They don't build oil. They don't raise cows. They don't put crop in the ground. They don't do what you do.
Go to university, buddy. Go learn a little bit more.
He knows that. 103 conflicts of interest in 8 months. A conflict of interest for him is if he actually benefits or profits from business as Prime Minister of Canada that he owns. That's always been a crime in this country.
I want to see them all. Let's see exactly what you're talking about. Because yeah, let's call them out if it's true. If there's a bunch of conflicts of interest, let's make sure that Canada is protected. That's our right. That is our right as Canadian citizens.
In 8 months, Carney has secured 42 contracts. It's becoming prime minister all have been with Brookfield. That's his company. He pledged $4.3 billion to the Ukraine at the G7. 2 days later, Brookfield got a contract for $4.3 billion to rebuild the Ukraine. How's that work?
Okay, so again, I mean, I don't really trust your sources per se, and I would like a little bit more detail, but yeah, let's question. Let's make sure that Carney is not just lining his pockets, because it doesn't really matter who's at the top. Everybody needs to be checked for corruption. Everybody needs to be checked for quality assurance. Everybody. So just do that. Why has it got to be such an angry thing? Make a position that says, hey, I'm here to check and balance the choices that the government makes. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's why we have so many parties and why there's so much discussion at the House of Commons, right? So what more do we need? What is the solution? Because separation is not the solution. Stopping the corruption is the solution. Because if you think you're going to separate and Alberta is going to become its own country and you're not going to face the same problems, you're hilarious. You're ignorantly hilarious. Let's keep going.
Could you imagine the price? The price doesn't matter. The profit margin would be huge. Having to bid on it, there's no limit. That's what monopolies do.
I am on board for stopping monopolies. I agree 100%. I just don't agree in the way that he's going about it. Let's keep going.
Got a story for you. See that maid thing down there? All right. We're the highest people. We kill more people per capita than anybody in the world with assisted suicide.
One, you don't know that for sure. And the fact that we have assisted suicide is not something to attack. It's a very serious thing where we don't need to let everybody suffer. Because in Canada, this dog-eat-dog meritocracy, you live by yourself, you die by yourself, made sometimes is just a better choice. Let's not pretend that people are just trying to kill people left, right, and center. And if that's the case, then that person needs to have their license revoked. That's an individual problem, not a system problem.
So I have a gentleman, a friend, who came to me 3, 4, 5 days ago, and he's a very hardcore Christian. You wouldn't know it because he doesn't broadcast it, but he helps people. He helps a former gang guy and helping him get his life in order. This guy's 50 years old, was in a gang until he was 35, got out of it, and has now got a business where he's growing legal marijuana. So he had a visit from a guy, went to his house and said, I want 30% of that. And he said, no, not given to you. So he promptly went to the RCMP and said, look, this guy's just trying to extort me. So it didn't work. So the next day, 7 guys knock on his door with baseball bats and pipes.
Somehow, I don't really believe this story. It kind of sounds like the old mob bosses out in New York. Do we have that problem in Canada? I doubt it. If it's true, then okay, fine. But this guy was part of a gang and now is out of it. Like, it's all a lot more complex than the simple story this guy is giving us. Let's be real.
So he saw this. He had an axe up on his wall. And he took the axe, and as they were coming at him, he swung the axe at this guy. The guy put his hand up, and he basically cut his wrist off. Okay? And then he proceeded to get a real good licking from the other guys. This is in Bonnyville. It happened like last week. He managed to get up and grab his SKS, which is a rifle, and everybody started to run away because
Is that a legal gun or an illegal gun? Does he legally own it? Because there's a problem. None of those people should have been coming to his house to begin with. Anyways, let's keep going to see what the point of the story is.
he didn't want to get shot, and he did shoot at them and put 4 bullets into their car. And then he called my buddy.
So what you're telling me is you are friends with a bunch of ex-gang members and corrupt people who go to each other's houses and try to violently attack each other. Awesome.
And my buddy went over there, and he said there was blood all over the place as the guy got his arm cut off. And he took this guy and brought him to the hospital. And understand this, he got beat up bad. He was hit in the head with baseball bats, he was hit with pipes. And all the way to the hospital, what is he thinking? I'm too old to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail. I won't survive it. And I didn't cause any of this. They came to my house, but I don't have a gun license.
Oh, so you don't have a gun license, but you have a gun. So you are already breaking the law, and now you want the law to save you. Everybody involved in this situation are lawbreakers. So you can't be evil and guilty and then think that the law comes and saves you.
Right? So he gets into the hospital. He's got a concussion. And what happens in the hospital? The doctor offers him maid. No lie.
I somehow don't believe this at all. If they offered him maid, it's because they would think he's not going to survive. And like, they don't just give maid like it's a new pill. There's all sorts of doctors and psychiatrists and therapy that people have to go through before they can just have maid. So why is this guy telling us such a limited story? And okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. If that doctor did do that, go sue that doctor for malpractice malpractice and get him out of the medical system. Take him away from everybody, because he's obviously a danger to everybody if that is what he's doing. Quit throwing the whole baby out with the bathwater and fix the problem as is. In this case, the doctor who offered MAID is the problem, not MAID. MAID itself is not a problem. The doctor that is malpracticing is the problem.
Made. So I got an update today. Those 7 guys that came to his house have not been charged. And
when did the crime happen? Why haven't they been charged? Is there an investigation? Or is it that everybody's just getting away with murder right now because everybody's equally guilty? None of that makes sense to me either. The process is slow. So are charges coming? Are they investigating? Like, we don't have enough information here.
And neither has he. So I just wanted to know that leader, that gangbanger that lost half of his arm, that's still running around there, how's that going to work out for the guy that cut it off? That's where we are today.
What does that have to do with anything? There are bad people in our world. There's corruption. There's violence. It needs to be dealt with the RCMP and the legalities and the court system. It's probably being dealt with, is still being dealt with, is just slow as molasses, unfortunately, because that is the problem in our country. Everything is slow as molasses. But again, what was the point of this story as far as separation? So you separate, and then what? We don't have any gangbangers or RCMP anymore? Those people just disappear?
UBI, $93 billion a year. If the Liberal government want to say, as a 16-year-old, you can vote. As a 17-year-old, you'll get $2,000 a month guaranteed income. If they do that to seniors, what do you think will happen to the pension fund? They won't need it. They're going to say, hey, you don't need a pension fund. We're going to give you a raise. Guaranteed UBI. But the problem is that can't last. Every communist country ever.
We're not looking at UBI the way it needs to be looked at here. They're not saying they're just going to give everybody $2,000. It's that if you don't meet the minimum $2,000, you will get $2,000. Living on $2,000 is almost impossible. So just as always, welfare is there. Welfare has always been there, and it's never enough to live off of. So nobody looks forward to being on welfare or UBI. That's not people's life goals. I don't understand these people's arguments. Keep going.
They're a big deal. The Russians said, land, bread, and peace, handouts, ended with gulags and 20 million dead. Mao said the great leap forward.
Okay, again, whose meme from social media are we taking? This is not factual. This is not journalism. This is nothing. And then look at the countries we refer to. Russia, China, Cuba, Venezuela. Come on with the one-sided stories.
Iron Rice Bowl, guaranteed income, 45 million starved. Cuba, Fidel said, year of liberation, redistributed wealth. Citizens got ration books forever, and now they flee on rafts.
This guy needs to go do a lot more history learning and not just the Trump-a-rooney version.
Venezuela, Chavez did that. Basic income, hyperinflation hit 1,000,000%. You see the pattern? Every single time the government becomes the only employer, banker, and food source, the emergency conditions never expire. So we have a corruption problem, and we don't know the half of it. I really believe that's it.
It's so funny because if this guy thinks we've just started seeing the corruption, buddy, I've been talking about corruption since I was like 12 years old. So you do the math, that's almost 30 years. It's not new. We've been trying to stop the corruption the whole time. That's why we're always battling. Hello, businessmen versus academics, people trying to line their pockets versus people who are trying to help other people since the beginning of time. Why do you think we have all these checks and balances in our politics? Why do you think Canada is the way it is? Why do you think we've been trying to change it forever? Jeez Louise, you leave out so much important information.
And the only person coming to save you is you.
That's true.
I have a friend who's a soldier. He's been in according to him, he's been in every shithole war in the last 20 years, 4 war zones. He was a sniper. And he presented with us at the Calgary event at the Big Four. And this is what he said. He said, for a soldier, the price of freedom is blood. That's the currency. So we have a path out of this. Because this is always in with a promise and out with a bullet.
In with a promise, out with a bullet. Sounds pretty gang mentality to me, don't you? Maybe you should seek different perspectives than just gang member friends. Just saying.
We have to do the work now. We have a path.
I agree. We have a lot of work to do, but this is not how we do it.
Clarity Act gives us a path to legally leave the country, and I
Just leave, and you can come back for whatever CPP you paid into when you retire.
think if we don't take the advantage to do it, we'll never get the chance to do it again, because they don't want to lose $47 billion a year net income.
Oh yeah, I guess Alberta's God's gift to Canada or something.
And I've been told by some very powerful, intelligent people that you don't think that they're just going to let you walk away with Alberta, do you? And I think it's pretty hard to believe that they would. But
Who is they? Who is your enemy here? Because you're literally telling a whole province of people that you want to separate, and then you think everybody's just on your bandwagon or something. But you know who your true enemy is? Is the people who don't want to separate, which is also other Albertans. So maybe just give your head a shake a little bit because your blinders are on way too tight.
my response to that is you miss every shot you don't take.
You miss every shot you don't take isn't about bullets. It's about basketball.
So it's going to take a lot of courage. There's lots of people being threatened. We started the evening with talk of one of those. He's the second guy that I have charged with uttering death threats. Now they're both going to be going to court here just like right away.
Way to use up tax money.
So we understand that there's going to be a price to pay for this, but I don't think it's going to be even close to the price we're going to pay if we don't pay attention to this. So this is what I want you to do, because this is what you can do. You can become a canvasser and go collect signatures. It's got to be too big to rig. That's the only way we're going to win this. We're going to win this.
Too big to rig. Did you hear that? It's got to be so big that we can rig it, is what I heard, because this guy is just a sneaky salesman liar.
By doing the work, going to talk to people, signing up your friends and neighbors, having one-on-one conversations, because that's what we have. We're a grassroots movement, and we've come a long ways. And we got 6 months to get this done. And we're not close to 1 million signatures. Don't let anybody fool you. That's the other side lying to you so that everybody that's scared does not sign. And nobody wants to be on the list. So if you own a gun, you're on the worst list possible, so you might as well sign. There's 350,000 of you. If you're in a Christian church and you don't want anything to do with C9, then you had better start paying attention and you better sign. So that should be getting us right close to 1 million right there. So what I'm saying to you guys is, look, I'm asking for your help. I'll stand right beside you. Away we go. Thank you.
Help to ruin the country instead of making it better. Yeah, that sounds great. Help to be as selfish as possible. Let's keep going.
If you've never seen Mitch present before, it is like standing in a fire hose. And it is overwhelming and it is terrifying, but it is absolutely, we can fix this and we can win this.
It's not terrifying at all, actually. It's kind of confusing and mind-boggling.
So if I have a question, I didn't get any paper ones up. We have a microphone right in the middle of the room here.
People are probably so flabbergasted, they don't even know what to question. Or they're so brain dead and brainwashed, they have no questions. But anybody with a critical thinking mind should have a million questions. Let's see what the people at the mic have to say.
No big long speeches, no manifestos, no life stories. Get to your questions so we can take as many as we possibly can. Max will control the timing on the microphone, and if he doesn't like what you're saying, he's going to cut you off anyways.
Wow, that sounds like a nice discussion. Who prefaces a discussion of questions like this? It's no wonder these people hate academic people or thoughtful people or community-driven people. God forbid we actually listen.
So, Carlos, do you want to manage the line? You're going to need that.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay, a couple of things. I just lost it. You mentioned about the faith groups not speaking out.
About what?
The faith groups not speaking out.
Yes.
They have.
I know, I saw it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of involved with that. If that's a new group, we had a conversation Saturday, but this has to they have to really start talking, because I really, really believe that they're nabbing preachers off the street in England right now.
I know, I've seen that.
So you're telling people go what? Be a cult to get people? Because that's what it sounds like. Be more culty. Let's keep going. I don't know. It's just so weird. It's just so yucky.
The other question, or the, not, my name's Rob, sorry about that.
Yeah, I sat with you
Yeah.
before the event.
Someone mentioned to me about the dollar.
Yeah.
Okay. They said, well, when we become a country, I believe that's going to happen, I hope. What about the banks? And I know the institutions should still stay the same, and I know there's a transition period, but I'm trying to figure out what to tell someone that's about the dollar, right? We won't have a dollar anymore.
It's going to be the US dollar, I think, to start.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the way it is. I don't, because we trade everything in US dollars. 88% of our oil is.
What? American dollars? Okay, tell me you're not trying to be Trump land. That's a nice revelation, though, isn't it?
Our oil is traded in US dollars. So it would be an easy transition for us. An Alberta dollar would be a great thing.
Yeah.
We would have the.
Alberta's not going to make its own money. You wouldn't even have the ability. You're going to make your own mint, your own dollars, your own money. Come on. Let's keep going.
Backing to make it a very strong currency. Lots of small countries have their own dollar, like Norway does, Sweden does, like all these countries have their own dollar. We could do ours, and that would be the very best thing. However, generally, that leads to unrest of some kind.
Yeah.
So,
but if we had the US dollar, does that mean, so we're getting our pension in.
You'd be getting it in US dollars.
In US dollars, but would we lose 30% off of that?
Yeah, no, I trade a lot of US dollars every year. I buy lots of stuff in the US. So that's a misnomer. The product would go down. Like, for example, I'll buy a gun in US dollars for.
This guy and the Seppies just want to be American.
For
So
$200, it sells in Canada for $280, right?
Yeah.
In Canadian dollars. So the currency balances itself. So you're not getting less pension because it's being paid to you in US dollars. It's just everything will cost less.
Yeah, no, okay.
that doesn't even make sense.
I understand that. I'm just trying to figure out how to explain it to someone else when they ask.
As far as the banks are concerned, banking
Yeah.
doesn't have to change. The TDs in the US, it's all over the place. Like the banking can stay just the way it is.
And the other thing that was mentioned was, so we become a country, now the US cut our cost that they're paying us for the oil. But they could do that now, couldn't they?
Say that again?
They could cut the cost per barrel of oil when we become a country.
That depends on what we're going to do.
Yeah.
There's no reason why, if we're running our own country and we tariff BC, that we can't sell our oil anywhere in the world.
When we tariff BC, we can sell our oil anywhere in the world. These people want the control to make more dollars however they want on the back of anybody they want.
The world, we don't have to sell it to Americans. We've got the pipeline going there right now.
Yeah.
So it's.
I don't think people even understand how oil money works. You realize that right now, Alberta itself is in debt because we projected that the oil would sell for more. We're already playing in stocks and debt. It's so dumb, the lack of understanding that people have, and that's why they're so easily manipulated by this. Let's keep going and just see what the end brings.
Going to be, and from conversations that I have with them, they'll be very happy with the free trade agreement with us. But you know what? All of this stuff is important and necessary to understand. And I'm not going to think for 1 minute that the globalists are not going to fight us really hard to keep Alberta inside their sphere of influence.
The globalists, as in the people who see outside your blinders?
But the whole thing is that there's so much here, and we have the people and infrastructure to make it happen, that we're going to have to take a chance and do our best.
And if you did, Alberta would already be better off than what it is right now, and you wouldn't even be whining. Because the problem is your provincial disgusting leaders, UCP, are a bunch of seppies, and they aren't doing what's best for the province as a Canadian province. They're doing what's best for their seppy pockets.
I'm not, if I was in business, and I am, and I had money to invest in some place, and I had a choice to invest it in a free and independent Alberta, based on what I know, I would invest it in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even hesitate.
Yeah, because you believe your own lies. Duh. You would probably lose a lot of your money too. I really hope you have like an accountant to take care of your stocks and that you don't do it yourself, because you don't sound very smart.
So let me talk to you about this. Okay, we've made 2 commitments. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is take the federal income tax rate off your check. Okay, so that's 20%.
Oh, wow. also don't have anything that comes with that after. You know, your taxes actually bring you things, right?
Nobody has ever given anybody in this part of the world a 20% raise, ever.
You're not getting a 20% raise. That's not what's happening. I like the way you frame it, but that's not what's happening. You're not even gonna have a job because when you separate, what, you think everybody's gonna stick around? You think we're all gonna stay in a dying country? No, brother, no. You think that just because you have oil, you have what, God's gift to everything?
And it's going to be on day one. The other thing we're going to do, and we'll be able to do it very easily, is double your pension. So our old timers will be getting more money just on that $13.5 billion.
How? How would you double the pension? Because you're already in debt. You're going to have 500 whatever $1 million loan or $1 billion loan or whatever. And then you're going to play the stock market with your oil. It's all the same game. Everybody's playing the same game.
Right? We don't see the federal part of your income tax at all right now. We pay $70 billion and $70 billion is what we earn. $70 billion here. We send the federal government $70 billion. We pay $140 billion a year in tax.
Everybody pays federal tax. Everybody, not just Alberta. That's the point of the country.
Tax. It costs $70 billion to run Alberta. So if we just took the federal portion off of your tax that is there that we'll never see anyway, that's a huge benefit to Albertans. And the other thing that's going to happen is it's going to create a major boom. We'll have disposable income. On a $100,000 income, that's going to be $20,000 a year more money. That's, $1,500, $1,800 a month. That's a lot of money for most people. And so that's going to be a more.
So as long as we work in the oil patches, right? Because what if we don't? Then what? Like Alberta's for oil people only?
Payment, and it'll be doable, very, very doable. So as a consequence to that, and if we can double our pipeline and capacity, which we possibly could, then that covers all of
which we possibly could.
That for you and more.
Thank you. I'm on board with this over 100%. I've just given you some feedback of what people have been talking to me about. So I just wanted to clarify that.
We're going to build a very comprehensive plan for what this is going to look like. As soon as we get all of ours, we're going to build it. We're going to start building it now. But until we get our signatures, it's a movement.
I know.
So
we're going to start at some point. First, we're going to stir the pot real good first. We're going to make a bunch of division. We're going to make everybody really angry about something we can't even really do, because once we start planning it, we're really going to realize that we can't do it. So we can't plan it too much, because then we actually have to lie, like really lie. And then we might get in trouble with all those new bills coming in, and that's what we're worried about. Let's be real. Because that's the problem, right? You don't have a plan. You have no forethought. You don't even know if this could work because you haven't even blueprinted your path yet, other than being a Trump-a-rooney.
So we're going to focus on signatures till May. And then after that, we have a constitution discussion paper built. So that's already done. We're going to take Quebec's secession plan that they have, improve it, and make sure that it applies to Alberta.
You're an idiot if you think Alberta is anything near Quebec, or even has even half a leg to stand on that Quebec had. This guy needs to go back to grade 10 history class.
Apply for Albertans and see how that works, so that everybody understands what's going to happen to the money, what's going to happen to your mortgages, what's going to happen to your RSPs, what's going to happen to all that kind of stuff moving forward. It'll be very clear so that we...
Yeah, it'll be crystal clear that we're never getting through all the paperwork and bureaucracy, because we're all a bunch of liars and grifters.
We want to take every excuse away from everybody to not think that this is going to be a great deal for them.
No, I appreciate you.
Yes, please do explain every last detail, because let's be real, if your plan could work for real, everybody be in, but it's not. Let's keep going.
You appreciate everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, name's Michael. You answered one question for me on the pensions, and that it's not going to affect it, that we're going to be better off.
Let's hope, yes.
Okay, I believe we will. Another thing, when you talk about the dollar, I believe when we become an independent state, our dollar will be worth more than the Canadian dollar.
Of course.
That's my belief.
Yes, I would, you know what, if you're thinking that Alberta was going to win the referendum and there was a vote, I would get out of the Canadian dollar. Before that, I'd buy US dollars. I'm not giving anybody any advice, but I would buy US dollars just off the bat, because Canada's dollar is going to take a real big kicking if Alberta leaves, because we're literally the engine of the country.
Another question I have too comes to the monarchy.
Yes.
We will have nothing to do with that, will we?
No, I don't. So I got a story for you.
Thank you.
So let me share a story. So I got called from the English in England to do an interview on the largest political channel in England, and I had to get up at 4 a.m. It was a Sunday
I
morning.
just want to point out how vague his last answer was to this person and now how he's jumping into a story. There was no answer there, right? Only simple-minded people are going to accept this distraction as an answer.
Morning, Super Bowl Sunday, and I got up early, and they said it was going to be an 8-minute interview, and I said, well, that's interesting, that's good. So we started, and he had a real heavy accent, so I said, you're going to have to slow down so I can understand you. He thought that was pretty interesting. But anyway, so we went. He says, why do you want a free and independent Alberta? And I went through some of the stuff with him, and then he says to me, what are you going to do with the monarchy? I said, well, I think we want to be free of everybody. Especially and including the monarchy. And you know what he said? You know what he did? He said, we'll put the king out order, and click, he shut me off. After a minute and a half, we were supposed to be there for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you, what I'm going to tell you is this. It's a bigger deal than I think it is.
I'm not sure this guy understands why somebody would end a conversation with him, but if you don't want to be a global partner of some sort, then you're just an idiot, because you can't just live on an island by yourself. It's not possible. So why even have a conversation with an idiot? I mean, look at how long I've even wasted just listening to this guy. That guy who hung up on you is smart.
I saw the same thing with the premier when I handed her the value of freedom. And I think that oath to the king is a big deal, because I saw the look on our premier's face, and I've been in situations where I can see fear in people's faces. And I could see that she said to me, well, would you consider making it the Commonwealth of Alberta, even though there are commonwealths that pay nothing to the crown? It's just verbiage. And that's what our value of freedom book is called, the Common.
So here's Danielle Smith trying to figure out a loophole so they can all line their own pockets and be Trump-a-roonies.
Wealth of Alberta. But, however, there's no ties to the monarchy. So just saying. But she was visibly relieved. And if you watch the video of her taking her oath, it's pretty extensive. So I would suggest to you that it's a big deal, and it's a big deal to them, as I saw. I thought it was just lip service. I didn't think that, we had any ties to the monarchy. I've since changed my mind.
Good, because that's important to me, because, and my grandparents are from England.
Yes.
Came here, worked hard. They're all gone, but I don't want nothing to do with it.
So why should we pay them anything?
We should not be
And I
paying.
agree with you, 100%.
100%. But I'm glad, because one thing I was worried about, the pension, you've straightened that out, and I think we'd be better off. And I've signed up
Good, thank you.
to volunteer.
This pension thing is so funny to me, because the CPP, they take our money, they put it in the stock market, then cap their pockets as much as they want, and then they give other people whatever is left. All of that needs to be fixed. But again, in a separate Alberta, that's not going to help anybody. And you think these selfish leaders are going to be generously sharing with all Albertans? Come on. They don't want to be generously sharing now. They're just going to keep lying, right? And making the narrative work for them. Guys, let's keep going.
Getting retired, and
We need that.
Alberta needs
I
to
agree with
be
you.
independent. Period.
100%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, Mitch.
Hi.
My name's Robin Day, and I'm interested in process as we move forward on this.
Mhm.
I can see that Ottawa is going to move from misinformation to lawfare, but that's not going to impede the vote that I can see. And it's my understanding, once we vote yes, that the question has to be affirmed by Parliament. Now, if that's so, and they refuse to affirm it, can Alberta interpret that as bad faith under the Clarity Act? And would our premier make a unilateral declaration of independence?
I've asked her. She's not saying anything.
Because it's not possible. You guys don't actually think you've come to the table in good faith here, have you? This is not what you consider good faith, is it? Because this is not good faith. And if this is what your idea of good faith is, again, you have a lot of learning to do. Oh my goodness, let's see what he answers.
I'm going to tell you what, she's in a perfect position. Both sides want this referendum. Lukaszuk says he doesn't want it, but why did he go get 400,000 signatures if he doesn't want it?
He doesn't want the referendum. He's doing it to show that you guys are wackos for trying to separate Alberta from Canada, and that there are a ton of Canadians here who want to stay Canadian and don't want to separate. We'd rather fix something than run away.
His question is a policy question. It's a moot question. It's a nothing burger according to Justice Feasby. Ours is a constitutional question. According to the Clarity Act, it has to be a standalone question. So the Premier can just absolutely sit and let it happen, which is what I would recommend. I would also like to task her.
Of course you would recommend, because that works for you and your narrative. But it doesn't work for the best of Albertans in Canada.
On getting us a succession plan, which I've already asked her for, and she said they're not working on it. But I think that as this has now become a reality, I think that I'm going to ask again so that they can put Albertans at ease that on day 2, day 3, day 4, that nothing's going to change. The traffic is going to be the same. BC's going to send their trains across Alberta. We're still going to ship oil to the south. We're still going to ship oil to BC and Ontario. All that is going to continue to work.
Except for your tariffs and your border control and this, that, and the other that you're now forgetting that you mentioned earlier.
Then once we have a reassurance that that goes, then we can make all manner of things. We'll have a constitutional conference in 2 months, change the rules. They're on schedule to have an election in 2027. We can continue on that schedule based on the new rules that we have. If we have a constitutional conference and government is not involved, the citizens of Alberta approve it. That's how Kosovo declared their independence. So there's another path there. The other thing is that I firmly believe that, there's lots of things that Ireland got its independence through the Statute of Westminster. There's a different path there. There's another path that if 2 countries recognize Alberta as a free and independent nation, there's a path there. But the path that we're committed to is the Clarity Act and making sure that that works for everybody involved. Okay, thank you. You bet.
If any of those paths actually worked, you'd be going through all of them. Let's be real.
Hey, my name is Matthew. Just had a quick question for you. So when we see crimes being committed by the government, right? For example, Emergencies Act was declared unlawful, right, during COVID. So why is it that we as citizens can't punish the government for their acts?
Because we don't try to. We don't do it.
So how come we don't?
I don't know. Well, you want to go sit on the truckers did the closest thing to trying to get awareness to that. If everybody in Canada had gone to sit on the steps of the ledge in Canada like they did in Bulgaria, that would have made it happen. It's up to us. Everything is up to us.
I agree that everything is up to us. I agree that if a leader is not being a good leader, that they should be called out. I just think we need to figure out a better process than the grifty one-sided stories. Why is the answer to separate instead of simply holding the politicians accountable to better and higher standards? I mean, that just seems like so much more common sense to me than making more fighting. I don't know. Let's keep going.
Once we have to get away from that group of people, we talk about money as being the most important thing. I think the social aspect of this is going to be at least as important or more important for us. If we get away from that, anything's possible. So I really believe that. And as far as holding government...
So I don't know what I just heard there is like, we need to only focus on money. Money, 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 money. And again, that's the problem, right? We got these blinders on. The world is not just about money. The world is about relationships. The world is about sustainability. The world is about the waters and the land and the moon and the stars and how long that's going to be around before we have another, whatever, ice age, eclipse, whatever might wipe the next set of humans out, you know what I mean? This guy's just so incredibly limited in his thoughts. It's very business, 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 dollar, 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 which is good. I mean, we do need that side of things, but it's not the only side, right? It's not the only side.
Accountable, that's going to be up to us to do forever.
As if I would want this guy leading me in anything. With all the holes in this invitation, you think I trust you to lead me? You're going to lead me into death and war with Trump or Rooney or something.
The laws, if we change the laws, then away we go.
Yeah, because sorry not to keep you, but the one thing I really refer to is look at what William Wallace did in Scotland, right? He fought for his own people. He fought against the English, right? So why is it? I know you answered the question already, but I encourage all of you to sit here and just really think about what the government has done to each and every one of us, the jobs we've lost, the future of our children, right? I'm 22 years old. I'm fighting for everyone, and including for you guys as well. So I'm so sick and tired of this.
What job was lost? Why don't you go get another job? Why are you so fixed on not changing or adapting or moving with the times? You know that every species on the planet adapts, right? You've learned about Darwinism, right? We can't just stay fixed forever. However, we can't just be a bunch of imperialist conquering wackos forever. At some point, we got to realize the error of our ways and do better. And like 22 years old? How can you be so young and so ignorant? There's no reason for you to be this ignorant. You have information at your fingertips. Go get it.
Thank you. All right, good. Thank you. Hello.
There's a fellow who's doing a podcast in Australia right now about the destructive aspect of their family court system, and they're losing 23 men a week to suicide because of it. Do you guys have any plans?
I didn't hear most of that. Get closer to the mic.
There's a fellow who's doing a podcast in Australia about the destructive aspect of their family court system.
Okay.
And they have very reliable data that they're losing 23 men a week to suicide because
I want to see the data. 23 men a week. What are their race? What is their age? What is the background? What is the history? Is it really related to this? Is it related to other things? Is it a capitalism problem? However, let's keep listening.
the family court system, and they have a population of 27 million. So I guarantee you with the geniuses that we have here, we're doing similar numbers. So is there any chance that this goes through, we can open up a dialogue as to how to fix this nonsense?
I hope so.
Well,
Notice his answer was just, I hope so. He probably doesn't even understand the question. I barely understand the question.
I don't.
there's a lot of talk
I
about
wasn't aware
what the
of any of
liberals
that.
are.
I wasn't aware of any of that, but you know what? Everything.
Because it's not relevant. I mean, our relevancy to Australia is the fact that it's another colonial country and that they too send all their little criminals to colonize. They are almost as bad, if not worse than us, with their racism and their ignorance. I've seen Australians in Southeast Asia get mad at Asians about small bananas. Like they're grown small. They are small. And these people think they should be bigger and are whining about big bananas. So let's not even get started on Australians, shall we? Because that's a whole nother ball game.
Well, the way I look at this is we have to change what's going on in schools. We have to change what's going on in agriculture. We have to change what's going on in our medical system. We have to change all of that. And it's going to be up to us.
Yeah, but change it how? Because it sounds like you want to dismantle and defund as opposed to fund and fix. Because your thing is to run away, not fix. You don't want to even give $1 to other people. So how are you going to give $1 to the hospitals? Hospitals, education, it's all provincial. So where's all the provincial money? You already don't want to spend it. What makes you think you're going to want to spend it once you're separated?
So that's the way this goes. As
Yeah.
far as changing that kind of stuff is concerned,
But there's a lot of talk about the liberals, and there's 400,000 people that work for the government here, and every single time you phone them, you hear the exact same thing. No, you just don't understand, and then they figure out a reason to hang up on you. So if there's guys committing suicide and there's guys getting handed emergency protection orders for doing absolutely nothing, where they can't see their kids for 9 months to a year, and it costs them minimum $70,000. So Tamara Leach and Chris Barber went through the court system for 3.5 years. Most men have about a 4, 5, 6 year sentence with the family court system where your kids get lit on fire.
What is this guy talking about? It sounds like he's taking one case, one situation, and blanket statement our whole system, but I'm not understanding how it's related. Are they trying to say they're going to just start sending men to jail left, right, and center? Because I don't think that's happening. And especially if you're a white man, you're kind of lucky, right?
I'd like to have a conversation with cleaning up our own backyard if this is going to go through, because Danielle Smith and the rest of them, Dane Lloyd doesn't impress me at all.
well,
That's fair. I can agree with that. I don't think any UCP are oppressive either. And granted, I've only been here 3 years, but there's no truth, there's no transparency, there's just manipulation, and it's basically the snitches, and we're all being told different things. I agree on that, 100%. Leaders need to be leaders. Politicians need to be leaders. They cannot be liars anymore. We are not stupid, and that's why we're all upset right now. But now you got these grifters who are trying to separate, divide, conquer, and keep everything for themselves, as opposed to collaborating and coming together and just stopping the corruption. Why don't you want to stop the corruption? Oh, you're probably part of it.
I gotta tell you, let's go there. We've been taking care of, that's why we're doing here. That's why this is an Alberta thing. There's a very simple way. I'm a UCPCA chair. I'll explain that to you. We got 22 SCAs in Alberta to agree to a motion. We can have any motion and take it to the government and make a change. That's how we fired Jason Kenney.
Okay, well, when I phoned the Alberta losses,
We can can do whatever we want. That's what I just heard. We're going to make the system do whatever we want it to do for ourselves, not for everybody, for ourselves.
Our society to just ask them like what's going on. I had someone who spoke to me like a human being, and that's a rarity these days. And she said that when she picks up the phone at 8 o'clock in the morning and hangs it up, all she hears is a carbon copy of my story. So I'd like to know why Danielle Smith and the rest of the people in this country don't want to do anything about that.
Well, I can't answer that question.
You can't answer the question because you can't take a hint. You don't want to listen. We do not want to run Canada like Trump land. Can we be more clear?
I'm really sorry I can't, but I mean, talk to your MLA and talk to lots of MLAs. Right now, that's all we can do. Sorry about that. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name's Scott. I got a question about the First Nations. How is that going to play out? What's their role going to be? How much power do they have? There's a court case coming up in April. They're going to try and stop us.
Wow, we're finally concerned about the Indigenous people of the land who were here way before us. But sadly, we're only interested in how we're going to get rid of them, aren't we? Not how we're going to collaborate, not how we're going to give them money.
Could you speak a little bit as to what that would look like as of now and going forward after? Thank you.
Well, as far as First Nations power is concerned, I think that's the most unclear subject. That's the muddiest water in Alberta.
Because we don't understand treaty rights and we're not sure if we can legally get around them yet.
They have some form of power. They own 1.5% of the land in Alberta. They've ceded all their land rights, whether they want to admit it or not, they have. I've been told...
They haven't, and the 1995 Supreme Court case already proved this and went through this, so unless you're like appealing or something and we didn't hear about it...
That, you know what, there's not... I've been told by government that they have very little appetite to actually reopen the treaties, if any at all.
You've been told by what government? The lying UCP government?
So this is, I've had conversation with Aboriginal chiefs. I would like them to come along and we could come up with a program to pull them out of third world poverty.
Of course they want them to come along. They are the protectors of the land. They ain't coming with you. You want to destroy the land, and that's what you don't get.
That would be an absolute wonderful thing that I could support. I see it happening firsthand at Cold Lake First Nations, and they're doing a remarkable job there. So I would think that that would be, we could use that as the model. But as far as, you know, all of us will be better off. So as a consequence to that, I think we should take care of them and make them better off and drag them right along with us. As far as, you know, the worst thing that could happen to them, as far as I'm personally concerned, is that they could continue to have what they have. And I don't see that being a problem. Like, they could maintain their nations within the province. They could have their hunting, fishing, trapping rights. They could have their mobility rights, and they could get paid by Ottawa.
And they also get to protect the land and the waters, which will stop your oil and your garbage of like destroying the land. So don't tell me that you're okay with that.
I mean, if that, and they've actually shared with me personally, they said that would suck. And I would have to agree with them, because I think this is the biggest opportunity they're going to have to get out from under the Indian Act that they've ever had. And I think, you know, intelligent, competent people can come up with a better path for everybody, including them.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think there's a lot more Canadians that disagree with the Indian Act and want fairness for the Indigenous people than they do wanting them to be conquered by new white people. Because you think they need you. You think you helped them. You brought them out of whatever issues they had. They didn't have issues before you guys came around yet.
Hi, I just wanted to speak on being a woman here in Alberta. I was born in Edmonton, and 10 years ago, the people that bought my strip mall where my business was, 2 of the 3 wouldn't shake my hand because I'm a woman. And I questioned the idea of, why are we letting these people in our country if they're going to take away my rights, my freedoms?
Who's taking away women's rights or freedoms? And who didn't shake your hand? Were they being disrespectful, or were they being respectful? Maybe they weren't sure what to do either. Why do you gotta hate on them? Why didn't you put your hand out and shake their hand then? And show that you were coming in good faith? They're probably scared of you. Think about the stories they hear about white people.
Very scared of Sharia law, Islam, and I want to know that we as Albertans will fight that. because
Fuck is she talking about? This is Canada? Go back to school.
as worldwide it's happening and everybody's scared, but it is not okay for that to be happening in Canada. And I just want to be sure that we're all on board for none of that in Alberta.
Where is it happening? I'm almost starting to think that these questions are like planted. They're so far-fetched, honestly.
Hello, Mitch.
Hi.
Thank you for coming out tonight and
Well, thank you
bring
for
the
coming out.
passion. My name is Mike. A comment and a question. You were talking about fear and how people get trapped in a loop of fear. And I heard that acronym where fear stands for false evidence appearing real, or you can face everything and rise, which you are doing. You're taking things head on and you're leading a great charge. And I just had a question. What gives you your strength? I think I have a clear idea, but I just want to, what gives you this
I think I have a clear idea, but I want you to tell me. Again, is this a planted question?
strength, being able to put so much on your shoulders and rise and lead a great charge?
All he's doing is going around telling lies and stories. That's not hard.
I love Alberta and Albertans. That's basically it.
That's a good answer. More like you love your own deep pockets and you want to keep your own selfish self safe.
I'm going to share something with you. This is kind of personal, but
Wasn't worried about sharing anything personal before.
I've never been a religious person up until 2 years ago.
Okay.
And now I understand that the fact that a humble shopkeeper from northeastern Alberta is leading the freedom movement, I just don't see how that happened, to be quite honest with you. But I did tell you what I did. And I'm not inviting this, don't get me wrong here. I had a meeting, a friend of mine is a minister, and 3 or 4 years ago when we made a decision to go down this path, we understood that there might be consequences.
I'm sorry, minister of what? Because what minister wants to separate people instead of bringing people together? Who wants to make more problems instead of solving? What kind of minister or leader is that?
I'm pretty much at peace with it. I'm not afraid of them at all.
Who?
So as a consequence to that, I come here and talk to all of you. And so that's just, I don't know. I don't understand it. I just know that I'm peaceful and I know what has to be done. So I come out and do it every night.
You're not peaceful if you're trying to break up a country. You're pinning people against each other. That's not peaceful. With lies at that and untransparent information. Let's be real. You get your strength from your white supremacy.
All right, one more.
Hopefully last.
Hi there, my name's Roland. The question I have for you tonight, someone doing door knocking and someone says someone should blow your effing head off. What's the good thing to say or not to say?
Oh, good thing to say or not to say? The good thing not to do is get in a fight. If they're going to give you a hard time, just thank them and move to the next door because you're going to get,
I mean, people shouldn't react that way, but take a hint and walk away and maybe stop and realize that your purpose is hurting other people.
We have lots of people. We have enough people on our list that are going to be friendlies that we can win this already as far as this part of it. The next part of it is going to be up to us to get the information out so that people understand the real benefits. And it's going to be up to us to actually share with people the real dangers of not going down this path.
Actually, what you should be sharing is the dangers of a one-sided story.
And I think those are the two things that we're going to task ourselves with doing, is making all Albertans understand how much better off they could possibly be, and understanding that this may turn out very badly for them if they don't have the courage to stand up for themselves.
It's going to turn out worse if you become open game to Trump land.
My name is Richard Kaler. I would like to know if there's somewhere online a copy of a presentation. Perhaps this one would come up. Your remarks tonight have been hugely informative and very powerful.
They have
been? How? I only have more questions.
And I will give it to you after I'm leaving, before I'm leaving here. The one I did at Calgary at the Big Four, I have on my phone, and I'll share with anybody in the room that wants it.
Oh, I did a video on that one too. It was as bad as this one. It was actually a little less bad, to be honest.
There are people, there's so much information that I need to get to other people that I just don't have it all at my fingertips. A presentation like this, if somebody look at for online, would be an excellent informative tool.
Thank you. Max, you have that presentation on your website, do you not? Max?
Yep, it's on freedomcanada.net, is live streaming right now. And all these slides, including this one, it's actually embedded in the live stream.
Oh, good. So we can really go research each and every one of those slides then.
So
Yeah,
if you want to take a look, if you want to see, you can come and see me. I can text you the live streaming link so you can take a look at this.
Yeah, so tonight's event was live streamed, so you can actually get this one. And then you could, if you like, you can get the one in Calgary, which was shorter, consciously shorter, because I was by myself here tonight and there was 3 presenters in Calgary. So I knew that I could go over time and deal with it all. Jeff was supposed to be here, so my part wouldn't have been as long. Then we go ahead, sir.
Hi, another good performance, Mitch. It's Dan Hastings from Edmonton. Now, American energy analyst Doomberg, who's notable because 15 months ago, he predicted that the Liberals were going to give Trudeau the boot and put in a guy named Mark Carney, and that he was going to win a majority government. Now, since no one can predict the future, that's important. So last week he told, now he's got 500,000 subscribers, that he's been to every civilized country in the world where they produce oil.
What country is uncivilized?
Generally speaking, the thing was in the Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Norway, any of these places, people were evidently wealthy. And he said the only 2 exceptions were Alberta and Saskatchewan. And he noted that Saskatchewan...
That's not true. I mean, yes, they have a lot of money in Saudi and stuff, but like, you know, the misogyny that exists there, the unfair laws, like their countries aren't perfect just because they have more money or that they share more money with the men in the country.
And his question as an American analyst to the Canadian guy he was interviewing him was, you know, we are just amazed that people in Alberta who are profitable who are comfortable but live modestly, and people in Alberta who are struggling more than any other wealthy people on the planet, how long they can be expected to put up with this.
I'm sorry, you realize this is a class problem across the planet. It's what happens with capitalism and conquering colonization.
And so the question really is, do you think that is a message that will get out, first of all? And second of all, is Saskatchewan coming along because the 2 of us would be unbeatable?
So I've met with the Saskatchewan Prosperity Project has actually copied us. So at the Prairie Rising Conference I did in Regina.
Of course it has. You guys are all Trumperoonies doing the same misinformation shit, dividing people so that we're easier to conquer.
They actually came and they met with me. I took them on tour for a week. The leader of the Saskatchewan Prosperity Project, they're doing this very same thing as us.
Yeah, you trained them to be a Trumperoonie. Good job. That's what we need, more Trumperoonies.
The only thing is that they have different rules than we have. So in order for them to succeed, it's a different path.
Different path. I wonder why. Different treaties, different history, different rules.
Absolutely happy to come. So is Northern BC. In actual fact, the Yukon's has been saying things like this, and Quebec for sure. So there's a lot of people in Canada that are not happy with the Liberals.
And doesn't the Clarity Act also say that parts of provinces, if their neighbor is separating, can join that neighbor or something?
I don't know that, but that would be really good.
Let the rumor mill begin, right? This is the game of telephone. I heard, I want, da-da-da-da.
Northern BC would be a real good add-on.
Well, it might be an up.
Northern BC ain't coming with you. BC is doing truth and reconciliation. Separation has nothing to do with truth and reconciliation.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Jane. I have a couple questions here.
Yeah.
The first question is, it's for the younger generation. They're concerned about not having dual citizenship. Is that something, dual citizenship with Canada? They don't want to lose their
Okay, so I can answer that right now. Let's do that one first.
Okay.
Okay, so you will not lose your citizenship. Once you're subject to the Crown, you stay subject to the Crown forever, for life. Carney has 3 passports. They can keep their Canadian citizenship and move back and forth in and out of Canada, that's for sure. And that applies to old timers.
Who says Alberta's gonna let, or who says Canada's gonna let the new Alberta keep their passports? So you want all the benefits of Canada, but you don't want to share with Canada, is what I'm hearing. Because let's be real, your passport ain't worth shit without Canada's name on it. And our passport is worth something because of our Canadian reputation to not be Trump-a-roonies.
For the Canada pension, if you've been paying for it your whole life, you're a Canadian. Every pension has a portability clause. They have to pay it to you, and you can live anywhere in the world and collect it. So that's question one. Go ahead.
Well, that's true. Yes, you can. I mean, I could go to Thailand and collect my CPP and fucking live over there, right? That is your right, 100%. You're going to still get your CPP, but it doesn't mean you're going to get all the Canadian stuff. Why would Canada do anything for Alberta when Alberta's doing nothing for Canada? Hello, you don't become an independent country and then think that everybody's just going to come and help you out and be your friend. The only person that's going to be your friend is Trump.
Okay, question two. Okay, my train of thought just jumped.
I should have let you ask them both at
Sorry,
once.
should have. I should have said both. Seniors.
Yes.
Now, I know that the other side has been going into the seniors buildings and talking and hammering on them hard.
The other side, as in the people who want to stay Canadian? Like, again, why are we so pinned against each other?
Same with the younger generation. The seniors concern me, and they're getting swayed away from not even looking at this. And that's really bothering me.
So from my perspective, that's why we're going to double their pension.
That's
So
one thing.
that's the reason. First of all,
I see. You're bribing for votes is what you're doing by lying to people about money that they will get that you won't even have to give them. Amazing. Amazing. Sounds like the same bullshit of colonization since the beginning of time. Lies, misinformation, and scheming.
I think they deserve that. That's the first thing.
Right.
Because I don't believe they should be living in poverty. The second thing is we can do it easily. And I would like that to happen just as a feel-good moment for everybody involved.
We'll have the money.
And we'll have the money. And why shouldn't they get it? Right.
Okay, one more little question.
I don't understand. If you're just mad about how the money is being distributed to seniors and other people and whatnot, why don't you just go help distribute more money to them as opposed to separating? So again, it doesn't make sense because you don't want to share money now. And what you're saying is you're going to share once you're independent. How are we supposed to trust that you're not going to be the same tight-belted carny? There's too many holes and too much missing information.
Once we become a nation of our own country, the governing, I hope we will dump British type of parliament, like what they have.
I hope we will dump. Exactly. You don't even know what parliament system you would have, what your leadership would look like, what your politics would look like, what your leaders want your politics to look like. I mean, if this is the guy who's deciding, I'm better off with Carney because at least I know that his paper trail is followable and we can hold him accountable. This guy's gonna make up a naked paper trail, God knows what sorts. I mean, at least Carney's not breaking up Canada. He might be lining his pockets, but we can deal with lining of pockets, right? We can change laws as we go. We don't have to divide the whole country.
But yeah, we have to have the whole Westminster system was designed for people that were honorable. So if you embarrassed the monarch, you would have to resign. So that was the way the whole system was. So they called it the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Canada. That did not apply to Justin Trudeau.
No.
It doesn't apply to Mark Carney. They're not honorable. They're breaking laws in front of everybody's face, and they absolutely think that it's their right to do so.
And so are you. And you seem to think it's your right to do so. So who are you to judge anybody else? Why don't you fix the problem instead of making a bigger problem?
They're kings, so they don't believe they're parliamentarians. So we have to set up a system that is going to have checks and
The problem is that they know the system, so they learn to work around the system, and then they learn to work around the checks and balances, and that's the problem, is that we're all trying to dog-eat-dog instead of being collaborative.
balances that will make them equal to us, and that will have justice, and we will. It's already in our Constitution. Elected judges, that's the biggest, most important thing we'll do is control government.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's the biggest thing we'll do is control. Control, because all we want is to control.
2 more questions.
Okay, this is all kind of new for me, the political realm and everything else. So I have a couple of questions. Number one, you had mentioned when we become an Alberta independent place that there's basically going to be consequences for it. Now, do we have a defense system? Because the globalists or the elites or the Luciferians, whatever you want to call them, the group, they're not going to want to let Alberta go. Okay. And it can manifest in physical battle.
It's not the bad guys who don't want to let Alberta go. It's the bad guys who want to take Alberta.
Right. So Have you made, or was there talks with US? Like, will they come and defend Alberta?
I can't answer that.
It's confidential right now?
I can't answer that.
Okay, so, okay, here's a second question then, perhaps.
You're to assume that we've never had that conversation.
Okay,
Wow.
it did not exist.
Not exist.
It did not exist. Okay.
No, there's no record of it either.
But okay, because people don't want to be left unarmed. Okay, like you talk about, I mean, we know that this is not just a physical battle, it's a spiritual battle.
Oh, I'm totally aware.
100%, but it will manifest in a physical realm.
Possibly.
Right? So, and that's just kind of like, I'm totally bought. We have to make a choice. We have to make a choice.
Yes.
Staying in Canada is not really a choice, and we have to take that step. We have to take that risk.
Why is it not a choice? You're more afraid of Carney than you are of Trump. You want to be a Trump-a-roni who goes and conquers and hurts and kills for dollars and lies and manipulate? That's what you want?
I firmly believe that.
Right?
Yes.
But when I talk to people about it, strangers, people I know, you know, they need to have more information about what's the plan. You know, we have some areas, we have...
Yeah, you don't just jump off a cliff without making sure your parachute's on your back.
Some areas, that's the plan. But before they sign, they kind of want to know what the plan is, right?
Do you know who the biggest group of people that are holding out on us is? Women.
I'm up here.
Women. Surprisingly enough, it's
not surprising. Women have forethought. Women understand repeat behavior, pattern behavior. Women see the bigger picture, the family side, the Canada side, not just one whiny baby side.
girls. It's I'm seeing lots of husbands that agree with this, and lots of wives that don't. They're afraid of the instability. So that's something that we're definitely.
They're not afraid of the instability. They see that your plan doesn't make sense.
Going to address.
Okay. I think that's it for now. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Don't call me, sir.
Okay.
Too much responsibility.
I can hear you. Just lift that mic up a bit so I can hear you, because I shot too many shotgun shells in my life and I get tinnitus. Go ahead.
I'm unarmed.
What do you got going on there?
Hey, most of us took this in school. First question, I just got a couple. First question is, what do they call this continent?
What do they call this continent? North America.
It's coming.
What's that?
It's coming.
This province?
It's coming.
What's coming?
North America. It's the next name.
Oh, okay.
What the fuck is this guy talking about? This continent is actually called Turtle Island, and a bunch of white people came over here and then renamed it some other things.
A question I have, if I heard you right, the oil from here, you guys get, it's in U.S. currency?
Yes, everybody gets paid in U.S. currency, in U.S. dollars. We sell our oil in U.S. dollars.
Yes. So when you just, my question is, do all the employees and the people that work for the oil companies get paid in U.S. dollars?
Depends where they live. If they live here, they get paid in Canadian dollars.
But isn't that an exploitation?
Say again?
Isn't that exploitation?
No.
No?
No, because the dollar has a value whether it's Canadian or U.S.
All we do is worry about getting more than somebody else, eh?
You just get paid more Canadian dollars. It's the same thing. If you go to ask Imperial Oil for a job and they say you're going to make 130 or 140,000 Canadian dollars a year, and they sell their oil in U.S. dollars, it's no concern of the employee. I have lots of friends that work for SO and Synovus, and they make big money, and and they get paid in Canadian dollars. So I mean, just the currency. I buy and sell in U.S. dollars too, and I pay my employees in Canadian dollars because that's the currency that we use here.
Because that's how I make more money. Because dollars are the only thing I have on my mind.
No worries, I'm on your side, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I know. I'm scared of the question.
I can't wait for the Benjamin.
Why would he be scared of a question? There's something scary about questions when you're not lying or hiding or doing anything shameful.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll be up here if you want to ask a question that you're too shy to ask. I don't have any problem with it. Thanks for attending. It was awesome. Does anybody else? There you go.
Is anybody else completely flabbergasted at the lack of critical thought?
Yeah, we'll sign us out here. Again, thank you everyone for coming tonight. And thank you to Mitch. I can promise you this, after we win this, I will be leading the charge to build statues and to have school children sing songs about him.
Hello? Somebody who doesn't like communism, pretty communist.
All right. So last little bits of housekeeping. Merchandise table, including some brand new unique items that are not even available on the
Sales, dollars.
internet. donation table. This is a citizen
Money, money, money. Give, give, give. So we can take, take, take.
acted and citizen funded initiative. We don't have George Soros in our back pocket. It would be great if we did, but we do not.
No, but you got a lot of other grifters, so don't you worry. I'm sure you're very well financed, especially since you can afford to go all over and do all of this bullshit. Let's be real.
So if you had a couple of bucks and could throw it in a yellow bucket on your way out, please do.
How come you're not already rich from your oils and all of that? I mean, you're the one who's talking about all the money, all the money, all the money, right?
And if you saw something tonight that made you want to sign the petition, the canvassers are in the back left-hand corner. Please sign, take that opportunity, because if not, we're going to be knocking on your door and giving you another chance at some point, so you can't get away from us.
We're going to keep bullying you until you believe us. Is what I heard. Leave these poor people alone, you grifters.
Thank you all for coming tonight. God bless.
Also, if you have some time, please, we need help for the chairs. We need to vacate, to need to leave the building at latest 10 p.m.
We don't want to help anybody, but we want you all to help us. Honestly, this has been absolutely mind-blowing. This one was actually worse to me than the Calgary one. Anyways, I would love to hear any other critical thinking thoughts. If anybody else questioned any other questions, if anybody have answers to my questions, please like, follow, share, all that jazz. And let's never stop questioning anybody in power at any time for any reason. Because if they're not hiding anything, they're happy to share and educate and collaborate. Never forget that. Okay, ciao for now.